In the heart of the Philippines, where the sun always shines, there's a tale of resilience in the midst of hard times. George and Heidi with courage in their stride, facing down the critics with nothing to hide. Oh, George and Heidi, shining bright. In the face of adversity, they take flight. With every negative comment, they rise above, spreading love and laughter through the power of love. On the streets of Manila, they share their story bold. Through the lens of the camera, their adventures unfold. But amidst the laughter, there's criticism too. Yet George and Heidi, they always stay true. Oh, George and Heidi, shining bright. In the face of adversity, they take flight. With every negative comment, they rise above, spreading love and laughter through the power of love. Through the ups and the Manila, they share their story bold. Through the lens of their camera, their adventures unfold. But amidst the laughter, there's criticism too. Yet George and Heidi, they always stay true. Oh, George and Heidi, shining bright. In the face of adversity, they take flight. With every negative comment, they rise above, spreading love.
Yes. Good morning,
Morning, guys.
Magadan Po. Good evening to everybody. Hello to everybody
Magandang
around.
umaga, mayang buntag, masanting abak, and good evening to you guys that are in the West. No, I was just thinking
Okay.
how that guy running reminds me of Saturday morning cartoons, although it's not Saturday. I was just thinking about it.
Oh, and I want to address something like right from the get
Oh,
go.
dang.
That is Tim K. And we're going to talk about
No,
who's the
no,
emotional
it's not.
emotional support tampon and who's the Frankenstein, and maybe he's all the above to her side piece, her man, and her husband. Maybe he's all three wrapped in one, babe. Speaking of discussions, also, I just thought about something. We've had probably two or three people lately, and we'll address them saying we keep talking over each other. I think it's because we're so in sync. And sometimes, like, you have something to say, and if we don't say it during these live streams, it doesn't kind of come out, especially when there's a room full of people. Like, if we let the one person on the panel continue and we don't say our piece through it, it kind of gets skipped over when it's the main topic. But believe it or not, me and George are really in sync. And I think people are talking about both. Like a minute ago, you kind of cut, we both were talking and saying the words at the same time. We're both doing it to each other. So it's just part of, it's the Philippine view. So good morning, Ted, chosen one. Sarah, good morning. Thank you for being first. We got our original setup back. So I don't know if you guys noticed we're a little closer up. So we have dual monitors in our original system setup that we used to versus the table. So I'm kind of happy to see this. So you're going to see us staring. We have like a panel thing set up where we can see different angles. So today will be quite interesting. We will be discussing the Frankenstein boyfriend or Frankenstein husband, okay, or the emotional tampon support going on here in the Philippines. And people, hold on, we got a guest here. Hold on, you picked the wrong cowboy to actually put that on. Hold on, babe.
She's talking.
Yeah, she doesn't want to wear your hat. She
She's
picked
talking.
Dasha. Oh, babe, she doesn't want to be held like that. Well, babe, it was a.
Well, Dasha's very
Well, you
loving,
got
but
to take the hat off.
oh no, that's funny. I'm
No,
funnier.
we'll
Okay.
take it off, babe.
Actually, she didn't leave until I took the hat off. No, Dasha's very loving, but only when she feels like it.
It's National Pet Day, so love your pets. A big shout out to Cash, okay, in the U.S. Ted's beautiful dog. We have two dogs. We transplanted a monkey. She's outside because she has really, my Chihuahua has actually gotten bigger. So
Chihuahua.
yeah, so we kept her in to make sure, she was eating right and everything, but now she's eating like a horse, but she's outside with Willie, they play, and she officially has started to bark at people going by, and it's really weird. It
Well,
sounds
I
like
would
when
call it
George
yap.
barks orders.
It's like yap. Yeah, it's yapping.
It looks like you kind of yappy when you
Yeah. Actually,
say,
she's yeah.
fix me some eggs. Sound like Michael Jackson.
Right. It's like
Fix me some eggs, and all I hear is
make me a
make
make me a sandwich, woman.
You ain't getting a
Exactly.
sandwich. So, but happy National Pet Day. So, okay, Frankenstein, boyfriend, husband, emotional tampon support. Some of y'all know where that's actually coming from. We're going to open the panel up, talk about relationships today in the Philippines, dealing with Filipinas and what does go on. Okay, I'm sure we'll have some debaters that'll come in and say this is very far and few in between, and I would disagree. It would just make people they're just not aware like what's going on, especially here in Angel City, or sometimes it happens with these LDRs, online relationships. So you have the Frankenstein boyfriend or husband. This is the one that supports the household, supports them and everything. Sometimes the Filipinas have children and everything, and they're sending entire money. We just watched another Rafi, same situation. He was supporting her whole family with a large income. And in the meantime, she had a boyfriend. And
Okay.
wasn't he in jail on top of that? She was visiting him and giving him money. And
Well, here's the thing. Again, the reason why it's called Frankenstein. You guys ever thought about like I'm talking to the guys, and because I'm a guy. You ever guys ever wanted to have a woman that, you know, one is fun, one is stable. You know what I'm saying? One
yeah,
is loving,
so
good in bed.
kind of like dating your
You know what I'm saying?
Miami
That
stripper
kind of
pole,
stuff. So, and then,
your stripper pole
so
girlfriend in the U.S., but then you
instead
want
of,
some,
right,
yeah, so you want somebody to make your biscuits and gravy.
but instead of finding one woman who provides everything, you get three, five, four, six, seven, doesn't matter. You get different women that have the attributes that you like. For example, you want
It
one
does
that's
happen.
good in bed. That woman is specifically for that, of course. Same thing.
So they're the
Male,
ones.
that's up
Okay,
to
so
you.
they're the ones that are considered the Frankenstein, not the.
Well, what I'm saying is it could be a Frankenstein boyfriend or woman.
No, what I'm asking is who's the Frankenstein? The monkey that's paying for everything while she's cheating, or is the
Not the
Frankenstein
cheater, not the cheater. It's the boyfriends,
that are
as
the
it were.
Frankensteins?
That's Frankenstein because she's picking and choosing which part she wants from that person.
That could apply to the man, the expat paying for stuff too, and he's just a stand-in monster. Anyways, who knows? Maybe you guys can actually. It could be actually either. It depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Always different perspectives, but you have where these Filipinas actually have husbands or boyfriends and sometimes multiples. Okay. And then what we've seen lately with our one vlogger that we've been discussing and the other vloggers, and yes, we're back on Tank Top Girl, that you have the one expat that's LDR that comes and visits. And when she goes out, she allegedly has a gay friend. This or what appears to be just a friend, aka the emotional support, the tampon. Okay, somebody that absorbs all of her pain, goes out with her, hugs on her all the time. Emotional support, correct? Which can actually flip to a relationship, whether they're gay or not. So this person appears to
Well,
have several of these, and the women here do have those, like that 90-day fiance guy. He was freaking out. She used to leave the house all the time. She remember they used to use GPS trackers, and then she unplugged her internet just to leave the house because he was tracking her and doing other things. But she had several male friends, and that is definitely very normal here in the Philippines. So cousins, friends, and she was always going out with them. But remember, those things can flip in a second as far as a relationship. Enough alcohol flowing, enough club going on. So that is definitely what the discussion is today. So You thinking about that tampon, or are you
No,
thinking
I'm
about
reading.
Frankenstein?
I'm reading the comments. Yeah.
Yeah, go through it, and I'll get the link to have people come
Thank you
in
so much,
because
Ted. Appreciate the
thank you.
national pet food. There you go.
Aw, thank
National pet food. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, it's kind of funny. Our neighbor decided to put up a, I guess to Americans, I guess the wording would be chicken wire on his gate to
Yeah,
stop the. There's a stray dog. Well, it's not really a
there's a lot of
stray.
strays. You guys have
It's
seen
not a
that
stray. It's common for some Filipinos not to let their dogs loose
to go out and eat and
to
everything.
forage for food. So there's a stray. I put stray because I know who the
Well, it's the
owner
same with
is.
the cats. Like Ted
Yeah.
said, there are, we've gotten, I think we're short one more cat to fix, and we can't catch the ones outside. We've taken in cats that have ended up living with us, but they
Yeah.
also let them out to forage. We found two of them that we've been feeding for almost 2 years that we've lived here. And it turns out now they've got pet collars on and stuff. So it looks like
No, no, no.
the
They have
whole neighborhood
owners. They have
takes care of the
owners.
animals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's kind of like it takes a whole village to feed a cat, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah. But no, no, no. The thing is, we feel bad because the puppy. It's so well. Actually, it's not a puppy anymore.
About 6
It
months old.
it went through the neighbor's gate and starts playing with the the Labrador retriever, and the owner says, "Oh, no, 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 no!" And then he kicked out the dog, and he looked at me and says, "My dog's not vaccinated." So
Makes
he put up
sense
chicken wire so
because
the
he's been
dog
in
can't
our
get in.
yard.
We fixed the hole in our fence. Well, chicken wire. We fixed the hole in the chicken wire. That way, the puppy can't run out and escape. But anyway, so now it's just sad. Like we want to feed the dog, but it's kind of hard to catch the dog outside, puppy, whatever. It's
Yeah,
not a
so
puppy.
he's not getting his food. I push it underneath the gate instead of because like the gate we have like a gate that's on the front of our place. We have it locked down with the lock and everything else. I don't feel like undoing it. It's a little bit of rigmarole to actually get out the gate, and so I just kind of push it under the chicken wire so he can eat. So he's getting fed, but yeah, that's something I never thought about. But honestly, we didn't even know he's been in the yard, but it looks like he's been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
We
he's been
just
playing with Willie. Yes.
so which, like you said, if he's got something, then that's bad for
Yeah.
Willie.
Well, but Willie has a new friend anyway, so
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
he's got Monkey out there, but Monkey was just getting too big for the house, too nervous when she got around the wires, and she kept going outside anyway. So she wanted to see Willie anyways, and she was going to be outside later. And she's not a chihuahua.
Actually, that's another thing. Big Papa travels. You should pay for his dog to be vaccinated so your puppy's not infected. Well, technically,
Yeah.
here's the thing. He's actually not on the lower case. He's actually an uppercase. He has like a big giant Nissan truck outside and a Toyota car.
But they're still
And they're brand new vehicles. And what I'm saying is they're well to do. However, it's just odd they didn't vaccinate the puppy.
Well, how do we know if he didn't though? He might have.
Well, he said he didn't. That's the
Oh,
thing.
did he? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He says I didn't have him vaccinated. That's why I said it's like
Okay, I missed
it's
that
just
part. So.
and they're having a house build. So it's they're living here in the apartment complex
No, I'm
while their
talking
house is
about
being built.
okay, so you lost me totally. So you're talking about they didn't have their dog next door vaccinated.
Correct.
I'm talking about the other.
No. Their dog isn't vaccinated.
Oh well, I was talking about the one running around. How do you know the one that is running around?
Oh,
Did
I
you
know
assume
it's
that-
not. I know the owner, and
Okay.
I'm not gonna say the owner's name, but anyway. Yeah. Hey Scott. Hey Dallas. How you doing today?
Good morning. We have dropped the link for people to come in on the discussion today. And Saturday will be our next live stream Friday night for those in the US. And we will be recapping the week, World Zoom, the Andy Omar. I call it confrontation. Remember, the word confrontation just means confronting with the regular guy. A lot of comments on that this morning and last night. We'll be discussing Range 999 and a couple different things that have been going on this week. We will recap that on Saturday on Spill the Tea Saturday. There'll be a lot of things going on. Because there's just been a lot actually going on. And
that's
on
what I thought.
what's that? And then
Confrontation doesn't actually mean physical unless it says physical confrontation.
correct. And those were my words a year and a
I
half
kind of
ago.
figured
I
that's
said that if I seen this couple, there would be a confrontation, and they took that as a physical attack. And it
no,
was
it's
never
not. It's
said.
never physical. Actually, the only time it turns physical if
Confrontation means
it's
confronting, and
physical
that's
confrontation.
right.
Then
But that's what was going on. And so but on the World Zoom thing, we covered this pretty extensively. Again, we'll talk more about it on Saturday. But to reiterate what we said about him is that if you read the papers and read between the lines, it is the same charge. They read directly from the FBI website what did happen and what was owed or one of the charges. There are no additional charges, but pay attention to the key word. We're deporting him. They're not
not
extraditing
extraditing.
him.
Two different
So,
things.
right. So if they were extraditing, that means there is a warrant or something else was going on. They're deporting him allegedly over his criminal past.
Correct.
Okay. And we discussed this that um the past is the past on somebody. We get a lot of people, are like here and there on that situation of him being a criminal and all that. And we had said 10 months ago, 11 months ago, when this all broke open again, that if he paid his dues, his fines, his probation, and time had passed, no big deal. People had a problem with who he took the money from, which I agree. The amount of money, the fact that he did snitching, and we've had some comments on the snitching thing. They said that whoever agrees about the snitching thing must be a criminal or something because they're
No,
offended
no,
by
no,
it.
no, no,
No,
no,
you
no.
just, they're like,
Because
wouldn't you want if there's somebody that
the
did something
snitches get
is a real thing?
doesn't necessarily mean prison. It goes with corporations or companies because snitches get stitches. It means like I hear that in the corporate world, not because of me, but because of my constituents. It's just if somebody rats somebody out, that's what it means, not literal.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. There's not a whole lot of water. They said, what if he knew something about a pedo or something else? Then would you change your mind? We've seen a couple different comments and people responding to each other, and it's
Well,
like,
first off, that's not how it
yeah,
works.
you wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't be a federal crime at that point. Possibly, it'd have been something in the state or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Either way, it's at all Paul from World Zoom needs to do is write the BI for a reconsideration, but that doesn't mean he'll get it, and it's going to be costly.
One, he won't because the moment a big government agency puts it out in the press, they're not going to back down.
And yes, he's got a lawyer, but we don't know.
Same thing. They're not going
And
to
I
back
don't
down.
think that's actually going to have him stay in the Philippines. I think it's because he was running and that he ran off to Thailand years ago, the stolen passport thing. They're looking at all of it and they don't have to accept him to stay here.
Correct.
So it's what he had done will more than likely be the issue at
Right.
hand.
And honestly,
and it's rare that the BI commission, I mean, why would they make an exception?
well, not
for
picking on
Zoom?
anybody. The BI can technically
And it's expensive, by the way.
turn you away and refuse you just because they don't like the way you look.
And it can be a couple $1,000s. And last I checked, he doesn't have that kind of
Right.
money.
It's kind of like the
because
same.
we already discussed this because that's what I'm dealing with now on the 13A. So we were ready. We had all the documents, from the US. I went in and I'm down to 4 months before my stuff expires. According to them now, it takes 6 months to process a 13A. So they're trying to get me to pay close to 50,000, 45, 50,000 to express a 1 month processing fee. And I said, okay, so let's say I don't pay the processing fee, then what can I do? I know that there are expats that, talk to the commissioner, get an extension, all that. He said it's way, way more expensive than that. And so he's suggesting to leave the country anyways and come back in. And it's like, we'll just pay the express fee and we're going to go back. So But they said that it's rare that they make those exceptions, and it's godly costly. So I mean, what is that? Probably a couple thousand.
Well,
So
and in all fairness,
they suggest to pay the 45,000 pesos, which is close to 1,000. I'm like, okay, so that's what we do. So
now in all fairness,
why
again,
would George be an illegal? That's a
what?
weird statement. Yeah. Why is George an
What the
illegal?
freak?
He's a Filipino.
Okay, now
Filipino
you're
passport.
borderlining on troll line, which guys, when I say you're borderline on the troll line, you probably are. Put it that way. Now,
That's a weird statement.
exactly. It's like, first off, I'm in the Philippines. Second off, I was in the United States for a long time with my parents that are American citizens, which again tells you probability of me being illegal is highly unlikely, even if you don't know anything about me. Anyway, point being, about Paul, okay, in all fairness, has he paid his dues? Yes. Does he deserve the bad press, as it were? Technically, no. However, and this is very consistent, not just us. The reason why Paul gets a lot of flack is because when he came here, is he hasn't stopped with his lies. Because again, in our last other life, not the last life, the last other life, we again proved that he lied in his interviews here in the Philippines, which is relatively recent, which means he's not stopping, which means he can't be trusted. But here's the thing, the moment he landed here,
He said he was just joking. I love you guys. Real quick, I want to say on the side about trolling. There were some comments that we had to delete from the Andy Omar and all that stuff, and there were some people using a lot of cuss words along with you being a troll. Well, I just wanted to
yeah, I know, but
go ahead.
you go ahead.
Go on.
You don't understand. My train of thought is derailed.
Okay.
What do you mean? Okay, babe.
Oh, okay. You didn't, I mean, you want to bring this back on and in front of people. That's fine. You do the same to me. I get tired of people saying that
my
it's me
gosh.
derailing you when actually it's the way it actually goes. I'm still addressing the troll thing too. I know it happens.
Actually, we weren't in the troll thing. We were talking about Paul.
You were talking about Paul. It's evident
Why
what
do you
he's
think
going
I came
down
up with
for.
the
It's
troll?
quite
What do you
evident
think he came up with the
and why do you
troll?
think it's evident that he's actually going down? You keep going on about
I never said he
his-
was going down. I said the reason why he gets flack is because when he came to the Philippines, he was still lying.
That's
which
not going to get him deported. So I don't know
right,
why the
he
repeat of this.
that doesn't get him deported, correct? However, as I was gonna say, it doesn't matter because at that point it's up to the Philippine government, aka Bureau of Immigration, to decide, do you want this guy or not?
It's up to them. I don't think they
Right,
like
and
his
according to
charges.
them,
A man who steals a passport from a family member is on
Okay.
record. A man who takes 4.8 million, which was originally what he
dollars,
took.
dollars, not Philippine pesos.
Correct.
Dollars.
You realize that's
Which is
a
a big deal.
lot of money. That's more than and he
well,
ran off to Thailand and he abandoned a kid that he owes for. He's got a child in Thailand. They're looking at the whole picture. People make it like every felon that comes in here is going to get nabbed. No, there are felons here.
No, that's what I'm getting at. Again, it's not about felons entering the Philippines. It's never that. Again, we get it. Have these felons have paid for their dues? We understand. However, if the Philippine Bureau of Immigration decides, hey, you don't we don't want you in particular, then there's nothing you can do about it. Be aware that that's any country. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get it. It's the past. I get it. I understand. It's remember, it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with Heidi. It's the Bureau of Immigration. If they decide they don't want you in the country, there's nothing you can do, and there's no lawyer. That's the actual argument of this point.
Well, the same
Is
with
there's no
range.
lawyer can get you not deported because
Okay,
again,
the same as range 999. We were right about that. That's all I can say is all this.
well, Range
He's going
99 is going to
to.
prison. Period. It doesn't mean he's a big rap. Well, he's not that big, but it doesn't mean he's a big rapper. Doesn't mean he gets away with it. No. Now I disagree, Eric. Now I'm not picking at you. Eric says, I like your channel, but as a viewer, you need to figure out how not to step on each other. Here's the thing. If we agree on everything, then there's something wrong.
And nobody said we're professionals, and honestly, I feel that
well,
the
even if
same
we are
is if you don't like
professionals,
it, don't watch.
even
That's
if we
where
are
I'm at on
professionals,
that.
like The View, or even
Probably like in the last, we've been doing this for years, and probably less than 6, 7 people have mentioned this. If you guys got a problem with it, then don't watch. That's where I'm
well,
at. If you don't like our drama, you don't like us fighting, if you don't like, the expat stuff we put out, or it's the same as any channel, then
well, forget the argument. The point is, if you meet an oatmeal couple meet is another way of saying that the couple are in sync. However, they're kind of bland, meaning because they're always in sync, they're the same. They're oatmeal. They're bland. The fact that we again argue on air tells you we're real people. You know what I'm saying? It tells you that Heidi has her own opinions. I have my own opinions. And remember, the point of this channel is you have an expat view and a Filipino view. Not just a Filipino view, a Filipino born and raised here. I get it. I don't speak an accent, but whatever. But that also tells you that I'm very familiar with American culture. You know what I'm saying? So, well, babe, I'm
no, I
just,
got that, but we
yeah.
already went through. What I was talking about.
Yeah, Invention Nomad says no couple agrees 100% of the time. In fact, nobody agrees with anybody, period. 100% of the time.
That's, as you can actually see, George goes into details and explains and goes in depth, okay? Unfortunately, that's not, I mean, I get details and things come off right off my sleeve, and we're just two different personalities, and that's
Well,
going to
not to
happen.
mention, this is a fact. No couple agrees 100% of the time. Forget the couple part. Nobody agrees with anybody 100% of the time. If they do, somebody's lying because we're all individuals. It doesn't matter if you're born and raised in the same family, aka brothers and sisters, or brothers and brothers. Even brothers and brothers don't agree with each other 100%.
Yeah, so I don't
Okay,
see it.
Hector, now here's the thing. One, that's somewhat personal. Did I go to high school? Did I go to college? Yes. In fact, my college professors usually say when they walk out of the class, they said, George, take over the class. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I do. But
so,
point
babe,
being, I did go to college. Yes.
Okay, so it's on the realm, okay, of because of the things we actually, I mean, why now is George got to sit here and talk or discuss or defend that he's a Filipino citizen? So what's everybody's problem? Because
Where'd
this
that come
isn't the
from?
first. What's his name joking about you being a citizen, and now he's saying something about, okay, what high school are you going to? What kind
Oh,
of
the legal
questions?
part.
Well,
Well,
yeah, but
he could be talking about the U.S., but it's still somewhat kind of rude, regardless whether they're joking or not. In all fairness, if you were joking or not, regardless, doesn't matter what country you're referring to. Asking somebody if they're legal is rude.
well, yeah, I mean, what's legal? You're in the Philippines, you're Filipino.
Yeah, it's
So
like it's no different than me talking to one of my Mexican friends in the U.S. Like, "Hey, are you illegal or not?" That's rude. Joking or not, that's rude.
he's from Angeles City. There's tons of high
Born and
schools
raised
in
here,
place, and you guys
went
know
to
that.
college, went to
So
high school here. Now, again, I'm just letting you know. Again, not picking on anybody. Asking somebody if they're legal or not in any country, any nationality, any race is rude because that's like it's an implication of. Now, you can argue with me all you want, but it doesn't change the fact it is still an implication. You know what I'm saying? You can debate with me all you want. It's still an implication. Trust me, I've never been part of the debate team, but I'm a very factual guy.
yeah, he's saying he's not questioning your education. He says he's questioning, yeah, did
No,
you
no, 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 no,
go
no, Hector,
and
not
complete it?
you. It wasn't directed at you. No, 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 no. It wasn't about you.
Well,
No,
what
no,
it
no.
is since the last couple months we've been covering this, we have several people that are questioning, where you're from, what city, and they're asking questions. We're not going to give this stuff out. I mean, if people didn't catch it when we initially gave the stuff out, they're going to have to go through all 1,000 of our videos to find the little snippets. So, no, he's not a dual citizen. So, he is a Filipino citizen. His mother and dad are.
Huh? Oh, I see. I see.
No, yeah, same thing, but
Yeah.
except for
Well, that's different because Hispanics. Okay. Well, I'll read it so people can understand. Joseph. Now, Joseph's a great guy, and I met the guy several times in person. I asked my Puerto Rican coworker, was he an illegal Mexican? Boy, did he hit the roof. Now, the reason why he hit the roof is two things. One, it's racial, because I'm not talking about Joseph. Hispanics in general, if you misrepresent their race, it turns racial to them. They just hit off the roof. If you call a Mexican Honduran, they'll hit the roof. If you
mhm.
say vice versa. Second, again, regardless of race, nationality, or anything, if you ask somebody if they're legal, I mean, hitting the roof may not be common, but it's still offensive. Yes.
And real quick, Travel Trends TV. I never said I was an RN. So funny you would say that because there's been one person saying stuff like that here recently, and it's only been like one person. So never said I was. So why would you ask that? So just curious. So never actually indicated I was an RN
Well,
ever.
and again, for example,
And this was in the early 90s. So what I find funny is we get the past is the past and jobs are jobs. Okay. We're more on the spot now because even at 7,000 subscribers and us putting the truth out there, now everybody wants to know if they can expose us. Good luck on that. So nobody ever said, I never once said I was an RN ever. So
Okay, Rick, just to clarify again. I work with a lot of Filipino RNs. I usually joke around, what's your province? They laugh about it. That part is not rude. Asking from where they're from is not rude. Because again, certain places have different personality traits and whatever. From that point on, that varies. So I really can't answer that. But I'm
I,
saying that's
yeah,
not rude.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I said a while back I was a neurological nurse. That doesn't mean that I said it was an RN. I said I had a nursing job
yeah, and Hector says
in the
again,
90s.
I enjoy the banter, different perspective for sure. Exactly. This channel isn't about me. This channel isn't about
And
Heidi.
if you guys want to ask,
It's
we'll
about
answer the
it's about
questions. It's just
both,
odd on the
you know,
illegal when he's.
both races. You know what I'm saying? Filipino and American, as it were. So again, we have different views on not only just from the guy point of view, but from the female
And
point of
George
view
has
too.
lived in the U.S. for a long time.
Right. Well, I can tell you female point of view too. But anyway, um, Rick Merriman says Filipino RNs are the best in the USA. It's our major export product. I mean, really, no. We export a lot of Filipinas and Filipinos to the US. Yes.
Yeah, Travel Trends further down says, my apologies. I thought you were. I meant nothing about it. Well, it's just funny because there's been some that have mentioned it. It's been a while, but it's the ones that leave comments or have sent emails picking strictly on our jobs, and that's all they've had. And so when you ask that, it's like I never said, I said as a neurological nurse and worked at a television studio. So we
Right.
both had an array
Now,
of jobs.
Andy Omar makes a good point because honestly, this actually has baffled me for a long time. I don't get Latinos who like to put themselves in boxes. Nothing wrong with it, but they vote, breathe, and bring American values to the Philippines. What he's saying is, honestly, I don't get it. Why did they get so offended? And honestly, it's just odd to me that, if somebody calls me, "Oh, you're Mexican," I don't lose my crap and then yell at him or something like that. No. In fact, I've opened the door a lot of times at 7-Eleven because I go to 7-Eleven a lot. Open the door for a lot of people, and they said "gracias," and I'm like, "De
Well,
nada,"
that or you
It's
don't get upset when people think you're Japanese, which they
right. I
have.
don't
They
get
think you're
upset
Korean.
if they talk to me in Spanish. I don't get upset. If they talk to me in Korean, which they have. I don't get upset. If they talk to me in Chinese, same thing. I don't get upset. Why would you? It's no big deal. Obviously, they can't identify. You know? So again, the anyway. So
Well, I'll tell you.
no, that threw me off. That one. Yeah, no, I know.
Right,
I know.
but are you missing something?
No, 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 no. Again, like LG says, I do ask people if they're American citizen or, and that's not offensive or racist, is it? I'm not asking their legal status. If they applied for American citizenship. Now, normally that won't offend a lot of people. I said normally, but some people do. Um, that's up to the person. I mean, whether it's right or wrong, it depends on the situation. I mean, not picking on anybody because again, okay, like one of those don't know the situation, man. Um, so now the Frankenstein thing.
Bruce is in there. You might. That's.
Hey, Bruce, how's it
I
going?
guess it's the general topic on the table, but it's what is going on there, Bruce?
Oh, okay. Maybe he has bad connection. Andy says I used to talk to some Filipino in Spanish in Cali. I get confused. They told me they didn't understand, so then I asked in Tagalog and they start cracking up. Um, Now, certain Hispanics and Filipinos have certain similar facial features. So I understand why there's a confusion because again, trust me, I get all sorts. Again, I just said people talk to me in Korean, Spanish, and in Chinese. No big deal, no surprise. Hey Bruce,
Hey,
how's it
what's
going?
up?
Yeah, because see, Travel Trends further up said Heidi is a professional. She was an RN, right? So he did say something further up. So
Well, Heidi, it's weird because like if they don't like you, they'll come and say you're not
sure.
this, or they'll blame you, for something. Like it's just I don't know.
They're
I
going to
don't get
come
it.
after us because regardless, the higher up the YouTube chain, and still 7,000 is moving up the chain. We don't consider ourselves big vloggers, but what we have been doing for years, was expat help covering our life, saying that we are on a budget, never claimed to be rich. So they come in about our money. They come in about me being heavy set. They come in, and do all these different things, but they're doing it because, in my opinion, it's because
I
we're
mean, they're
putting
doing
out
the
these
same thing to me,
topics and
Heidi.
female expat here.
They're doing the same thing to me. They say the same crap. These idiots are going in lives and causing all sorts of havoc in lives when I'm not even on YouTube. They say, like, listen, I don't care what somebody looks like. All right. For one, I don't have any, I don't have any reason to sit here and judge anybody when, I am a heavy set guy. Okay. I don't do that to people. They do it to you. They do it to me just because they don't like us. I mean, it's just idiotic. A friend of mine that does it, he's in Thailand. I had a guy the other day, never had a problem with. Oh, I don't know who he is, but he would always say hello to me. And then next thing he knows, he says, there's nobody in Asia that would date your fat ass. I'm like, well, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Like, all you can do is laugh at these people.
Well, and usually, Bruce, these same guys, we haven't even seen most of them. You might see them either just a photo or you actually, and a lot of them are either currently overweight or former people that have been overweight. But the funny thing is, that's about the one thing they can actually pick at, which, it's like, okay, that's what they have. But no, I get it.
If people like, if people like Uncle Jesse or people that are like his age or people that are in brackets like that or just older people in general, all right, if they can get somebody like, you just don't realize, like, people like myself not going to throw out everything that I have because there's no need for that. Like,
well, and a lot of people, like, most of our life is really old there, Bruce. Like, they're talking about jobs. Like a couple months ago, we had a couple of them coming at us hard about jobs we had in the 90s. And it's like, okay, that's what you guys got. But since we start covering other expats and different things, or like Mike's Philippine journey. So now we have a bunch of people talking about, oh, we're going to expose you. And I'm like, oh, please do, It's like,
I hear, George, that people say you need to get to the point. You need to stop talking for 10 minutes and get to the point. But the thing is, what I like about you, George, I don't care if it takes a half hour. I don't care if it takes 2 hours. I love listening to you, how you think about things, because people don't do that. They don't analyze anything. They don't research. And you at least, and the same goes for Heidi, because she does the same thing too. But you analyze it and then you talk about it.
That's what makes us good together. No, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I like Andy. He said, these guys know more about me than I do myself, or more about, which is true. I mean, like me and George was saying that, kind of like World Zoom stuff is out there because they're like, you need to stop talking about him and blah, blah. And it's like, dude, his stuff is already in the public eye. He's the one that's in the newspapers. We're only bringing additional information. Make things up. Most everything that we cover. I mean, we might joke and everything, but it's already there.
You guys can Google it yourself. It's there.
But I do feel the one thing that's really unacceptable, me and George talked about it, is when some channels, and there's several of them out there, just not one specific, or some people in social media or the news, like you'll get like TMZ, they'll start to expose family members on the side, or they start to expose their children, or just other people that worked with them. And it's like, wow, you brought them all the way through on that situation. So that's where I feel it actually goes too far, because we already know we're in the game. And again, only so many people get monetized and hit over a couple thousand, subscribers. Once you get to some point, then everybody, especially here in the Philippines, and it's like, me and George have nothing to hide. Everybody's got a past and this and that. But, when we started doing live streams about 2 years ago, we had somebody come through Facebook that was like making literal threats. and they were talking about, we know who your family is, we know you've got grandchildren. And I'm like, wow, now you went too far. There's just a certain point where you're like, oh, that's a little much. So yeah, and it was everything that was already on Facebook, so they really didn't find nothing, but then they're making side threats because we wouldn't give up an address or meet with
Oh,
them.
my God.
Remember that? That was a couple years
Well,
ago,
no,
and it was a
I
joke.
just
It's like, you're
just
not scaring us. As a matter of fact, I told George, I said, if people want to find us, they're going to find us. More power to them, but we're not going to hide, and we're not going to quit the channel. So it's
you're just bringing back memories of my ex.
memories. Oh yeah.
Most of my issues
So,
are with my
George,
ex.
can we swing back? So your topic is about the big guy
Frankenstein
or the little guy?
boyfriends. Yeah,
Which
Okay, so
actually, again, this is more common than you think.
it
What
is.
it means is, again, somebody picks and chooses what they find out of you.
Right.
One, again, somebody
Somebody,
provides money, somebody
right,
provides love,
right.
some some
Going to the club and doing things.
the
And
fun part.
we give that as an example of our recent female vlogger that we covered, because it shows her going to the clubs with different guys, and she's out there. She claims one is gay. She's got other guys sending her money on the side, and through her PayPal, and then she's got a permanent boyfriend now that she's bringing in. So it's something similar to this, except for some of them were more blatant here in Angel City. So literally, like some of the girls that work at the clubs, they've got a boyfriend, and some are actually still married to a Filipino. It could just be a range of what they're needing to get out of the guy. But then you do have some there where we talk about the emotional tampon support. Basically, some of them just have just friends just to talk to, and maybe those are gay people. It depends on what's going on, but they actually have them.
Now, in all fairness, okay, guys and girls,
They absorb all their pain.
be
and
aware
tears.
that the key word here is boyfriend. Okay, because remember, dating, boyfriend / girlfriend, and married are 3 different levels. We're talking about boyfriend, which means you're past the dating stage. What I'm saying is, for example, when I was dating, did I have Frankenstein relationships with the people I dated? Yes, because they're not my girlfriends. I did not, aka, for those of you in the US, what they call a DTR, determine the relationship. Meaning, did both of you have a claim on each other? No. Because if you're dating,
George is hardcore on that.
no, exactly. Now, what I'm saying is, did I date a particular girl because of this? Because they're fun. Did I date a particular girl because she's, solid? That we spend quality time together. Did I date?
Right, but did you date multiples? These girls are
Well,
doing
here's
multiples.
where that's the thing.
And they don't have to be
Dating, you can
Filipino
date
either.
multiples. That's the thing. You can date multiples, but the moment you DTR'd, aka boyfriend girlfriend, that's when you cut it off. For example, they
Did
date
you?
different women, yes, but the moment I DTR, determine the relationship with Heidi, I block them. Heidi will tell you this.
Yeah,
I blocked them, and
and I found out later.
the fact that I blocked them before she found out actually tells you again, because again, it's part of the argument. I blocked them, right? Because again,
It was
and
pretty tense in the beginning of our relationship. Let's say.
right,
well, I mean, that's just like respect. I mean, because you liked Heidi, and then now Heidi's your wife. So I mean, you
Right,
obviously would
but
have to.
I feel that people should at least inform the other person. I think not telling them you're going
Yeah.
out dancing with somebody all night, the fact that you're going
Oh,
to
I know some of
grocery
them.
stores and taking their kids and doing a bunch of weird stuff with them. I mean, there is a limit. What are you laughing at?
I was gonna invite you
I
dancing.
think we know people like that do that are married. And they
Yeah, but
probably
you
shouldn't be
still
doing
should be
that.
open with the person.
But
Some
that was
people
dating
feel.
phase. You don't tell your dates. Oh, by the way, I'm seeing somebody else.
No, actually, you should, which only got you in trouble
Which
later.
again, remember that's a point of perspective.
Like, hey, let me
It's
give
a
you
point
an
of view.
example. Let me give you an example. when we were dating, I found out that he went on a coffee date. He said it was business with his ex, right? He
Well,
actually
that's not a
had
date.
her
That was
name.
business. That
Right.
was business.
Okay, but the point is, you could have just said that. I'd appreciate the honesty of where you were that night, just not a good night. I'll talk to you later. When you're out having, it's still, you could have done that at the office, not at Starbucks and wherever.
No, it would have been worse at the office because then it would be private, technically.
Okay, so I found her name on a coffee cup in the refrigerator. So I'm like, well, you could have just been honest. That's where I was with that. I mean, I was secure in what was going on, but anyways, so it's kind of a,
But oh, hey, thank you so much, Captain Billy Jack. George and Heidi is a good team. I have learned a lot from the streams. I don't comment much.
I
I'm always here.
appreciate
Oh,
it.
thank you so much, Captain Billy Jack. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
we
I
just
was,
see your name occasionally. Yes, you don't comment a lot. Yes, thank
I
you for
was
being with
telling
us.
George, and I kind of was like this. I like the way regular guy came back and explained things and was willing to question and appear. We had a lot of respect, no matter what happened. That Andy appeared and that Scotty came on and everything. And it's good that there was that confrontation and everything. But then I was also talking to George, like when things like come up like these questions, it's kind of like, you guys got to understand, we've been seeing these questions for years and we get a lot of emails every week. We really do. And most of them, for some reason, are not positive. It's like, mostly it's, hey, don't pick on this, don't do that. Well, I wouldn't say most of them. I would say, what would you say, about 20% is where somebody's just coming in, usually the same. It's usually the same people because they use troll emails. Okay, we're aware, well aware that you cannot track them and everything, but they don't have the nerve to face us up front. Now, we did have somebody last week that attempted, but had none of his information right. So we don't mind facing the critics and saying, okay, it isn't and it isn't. And we're not going to sit there and say, okay, in 1979, I went to a private school, and for blah, blah, blah times I sat at school, I watched the show Roots. And when I sat there and watched the show Roots, I ate a great Tootsie Roll Pop and was drinking, Sprite, and we had popcorn. I mean, come on, guys. Nobody's going to sit there and talk about stuff that has happened 20 years ago unless it really pertains to, like, a bunch of weird things. So, which we get it. We get that people are in the public and we get the things. But when it pertains to things like him, like World Zoom getting deported or Mark Thornton and his fighting and a few side jokes, it is what it is. So.
Are you sure you watched Roots?
Yes,
at school.
Yeah.
I thought you sat in the back of the bus with Rosa Parks.
Don't play around, boy.
I'm kidding,
But
guys.
no, I was discussing.
I'm kidding, guys.
When that actor passed away, I was like, "That's right. He was in the movie Roots. They had us watch that at school. So, and it was a private school, 1979.
That was
So,
back then,
but
yes.
no.
Yeah, this is my favorite channel. Good content. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate you. You guys are the only channel that gives boots on the ground with no BS, just raw
And if anything,
facts
you get a
and
little
no
bit
ass
of
kissing.
extra. I was just sitting there telling George, I said, I can think of the time I popped off. I'm sure you guys remember it when I got up cussing and stuff. And I was like, that's it. I'm effing done, man. That's like real. Burnout is real, guys. I think that was last, November, December. Right. I said, that's it. I quit. It was hilarious in a sense because all I did was, sit there and watch movies, and we went out and did some stuff, and that was the end of it. But a lot of people just think that we're just sitting around like boo-hooing, and actually it's a pretty interesting life, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Barry the PI.
Hey, Barry, what's going on?
Barry the PI got my back, yo. He says, I had a lot of good friends, no romance. Girlfriends. Just good friends, yes.
Well, I had a lot of girlfriends, no romance, just good friends.
No,
girlfriends.
Yeah. Female friends, as it were. And again, honestly, there's nothing wrong to have female friends as long as you haven't DTR'd. My opinion, because obviously my opinion doesn't project to everybody on Earth. Roots on projector film, not even VHS.
Correct.
Oh, really?
1979. That's all we watched in classroom.
That's
was
right.
on a
Betamax didn't
projector.
exist.
No, it
No,
was a
they
real
didn't have
film.
all the
That's how,
technology.
like, when I worked in the movie theater when I was a teenager. Um, that was I was telling you about the movie theater and the mall and working at McDonald's. Both of them were part time, only so many days a week. Our stuff was still on reels and stuff. Even and this was in the 80s, mid 80s, and so it
Huh.
was. But I mean, that's a far stretch. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, just so you know, never in my entire life have I been to school in the Philippines that they've showed a film, period. Doesn't matter what form, whether it's a flip book or a chalkboard, nobody ever showed
Yeah,
us.
it was a cool ass
Yeah.
school. For those that would like to be informed of a side piece, hey, Big Papa, when I was 2.5 going on 3, I had a high temperature. That we always tease about Pink Floyd, The Wall, Comfortably Numb. Well, not that part of it, but I had a high fever. It was really high, and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. They couldn't figure out what it was, and they had tried some different things. But after that, I had a lot of issues medically. So it was a very rough recovery, and I started going to this school and everything. So, but when I went to this prep school, it had like a swimming pool and had all kinds of extra activities, and it was pretty sweet though.
I had extra
So
activities
it
in
had
school.
caused some issues, like my brain was super swollen, and it caused a lot of delayment for a while. But of course, I came up out of that, but it took years to recover. But yeah, so that's why I was at that school.
Okay,
But
now
yes, it was a great series. Roots.
Roots is a great series. Hey Laura, just to clarify again, not picking on you particularly. The best female friend for a man is a lesbian, and a gay guy for a woman. And the reason, and again, nothing against you. Um, well,
They can change, by the way. So when a lot of them aren't just strictly one way or another. But like when I went to hair school and I was doing hair on the side and was going into clubs, and um, they anyway, so when I was doing hair, I just found out, like, got into that world of all of that. And I always thought, when I was learning, not everybody knows everything from the beginning. And I was young, it was like I thought literally, gay was gay and lesbians were lesbians. I didn't know some swung both ways. And I know they all swing sometimes both ways. So it's not always the most comfortable thing knowing your woman's out there being held by a guy, that
well, actually, I
and
mean,
it does
in
turn.
in retrospect, for everybody, again, you'd rather probably have your partner be taken away by the same sex as you are versus the opposite sex, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So I mean, it's that would be the example of it just happens. It happens a lot here where, and there was somebody who commented about Tim K being in our thumbnail. That wasn't
No,
intentional.
actually,
I
not
asked
even
for
close.
a white male Frankenstein looking man standing next to a Filipina. I was like, we just looked at it again. We're like, damn, that does look like Chrissy K and
Tim
Tim
K.
K.
No, not it wasn't about you, really.
It's about him, because that's probably what's really going on in their
Oh, man.
relationship. She's
But-
probably got her a side piece. For,
sometimes AI just produces somebody who represents somebody. I mean, nothing
it's
to
just
do
weird.
with us.
Yeah, it did kind of look like him. So the maybe that's Andy. Maybe he is.
I did.
Chrissy's
I
side.
honestly, I said that looks like Tim K.
Yeah, George was going back and forth feeding the puppies outside, and we like getting ready this morning. He goes, "Why did you make a Tim K?" I said, "Like I can ask AI to make a Tim K without dropping a photo."
I just wanted to mention to everybody that Bruce and I are just up here for the handsome angle, to bring in all the ladies looking for handsome guys.
Hey,
So if
Big
y'all
Papa, is it
wondering why
cold?
Bruce and I are up here, that's why. And we're just going to sit back on the side and let you guys know.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Yep, that's right.
That's right, and they're here.
You
Hey,
got-
Big
you got all
Papa,
the
is it
ladies.
cold there? Right? It's hot here, man. It's like 108 with humidity right now in Angeles
No,
area.
it's not too bad out right now. I think it's like in the 30s, 40s, something like that. It's a
Mm.
little warm.
70 degrees.
Right?
It's 70 degrees today.
Awesome.
Well, you know, considering, you know, this winter we were like 20 below, I could go outside and throw a glass of water and watch it snow. That's kind of cool. That's a video of that.
Hey, Ruby. Ruby's in the house. So, Big Pop and Bruce, what do you guys know about, like what we were talking about, some of the Filipinas that are married to expats? Some, let's give an example. Let's go to what I've been hearing in comment sections and some that we cannot actually post. There's been in. Oh, okay, I see. The let's just say they're saying that Mark Thornton with his new wife and baby, he's probably not getting any attention. Maybe with what's going on and a case being filed, that maybe he's not so worried because this just gives him a chance to break away from his current wife and baby.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I know. So sometimes, and actually we know what happens here, like the girls that work at the bar, their husbands aren't falling behind. They continue to have relationships with guys, vice versa. Like this guy that he's from Australia. We're still waiting to hear from him. That Rafi Tufo we did, she was something else, man. She already was married when she got a fake marriage certificate with him. So she married that other expat. Turns out she had a whole nother family before she ended up marrying him. And then she continued to have children with the current Western expat
But
from
wouldn't she
Australia.
have had to have passed off a fake decree?
She bought one. Yes, she actually
okay.
bought all
That's
that
what
and
I
has
wondered about
people in Tondo in the government. So as a matter of fact, he gave us after that live stream, we was able to get a hold of him again, and he's agreeing to do an interview with us. But he's just been busy doing stuff. But he told us all kinds of stuff on the side. So how that turned out, whether he got any money back, whether he kept sending money, what about his children? Because he's got one son with him and the other one is actually here in the Philippines. All kinds of things turned out, but he had an actual husband. But some of them actually have a boyfriend during this LDR relationship. So,
My for Stanley.
oh, your Stanley cup, huh? In pink.
Yeah, and it's not mine. That's for the little girl. She just came over here. Dog. Can you quiet your duck, please?
Can you please be quiet?
Kind of interesting.
Sorry. Quiet now. Stop. I'm sorry, people. Now, I want to answer a question that was just asked a minute ago. I asked if Big Papa was in Alaska. No, I'm not, but I have been, and I loved it up there. I am in the northeast, the furthest northeast corner of the United States that you can go to just before you cross up into Canada. I am in the state of Maine, which is some of our weather is very similar to what you would see if you were in Alaska, except we don't have the caribou anymore because we shot them and ate them all.
Uh-huh.
But we do have a town called Caribou, Maine, so in remembrance of the caribou that we shot and ate. Bruce, what's going on, big guy?
Hey, what's up, man? Well, I'm just trying to think here. So that older guy that you guys did yesterday,
Yeah.
you interviewed him, right?
Who was he?
On which one?
On Rappy Tufo.
No,
not
it's
that guy.
one from like
The
a
Australian
week
guy.
ago.
The Australian
The
guy.
Australian guy.
Yeah, not that
Yeah.
one. The one before
From
that.
Tondo,
Okay.
the one that helped the
Yeah.
trike driver and gave
Yeah.
him money. That's the one we're hoping to bring back in here within the week.
Okay. Well, it's sad, when you get lied to and you marry somebody, in which I'm still thinking, how can somebody get married over there if they're already married? How is that? I did not think that was.
They get fake certificates, the same as being
Yeah.
able to leave
So
the
they're doing
country.
okay. And I'm not saying like I'm just sitting there thinking like,
Where were
You
you
know,
when
I
I
don't get
asked that
this.
question, Bruce? Where were you? Were you off in the getting a drink or something? I just asked that question. What's the matter with you?
No, man, I'm listening, man. I'm trying to, comprehend some stuff, man. Like, trying to filter out my brain the garbage that when I was in the chat that people want to put it, want to say. But I feel for these guys, because
It does happen quite often, though. This where the Filipinos are still married. Part of them here from Angel City, they've got kids out in the province that get stashed too.
It's very
I
common.
just don't understand.
Yes.
Why can't people get to a certain age and actually be honest instead of, like you would think that you have learned to through your teens and 20s to stop lying. Lying does not get you nowhere. It gets you caught eventually. Why can't people just be honest?
And sometimes it snowballs, Bruce. Like some of them, like World Zoom, he just kept telling like one thing after another, and then he just kept covering the same story even after he was caught. And then it still wasn't true. He was saying he had jobs here, and it was all kinds of stuff.
There's only two times you should lie: cover your ass or cover your friend's ass. Those are the only times you go, oh, no, wait, never mind. Forget about that. That's probably
no, and the thing is, like, Big Papa, you've dated. I mean, you were married to a Filipina. George and Heidi are married, but you guys understand. Like, I'm not saying like things, problems don't happen. Maybe there might be a little lie here. Maybe some money came up that was whatever it may be. But
no, and don't get me wrong, my ex-wife was probably the sweetest woman that you could ever meet. I mean, she helped everybody. She's a great woman. It's just at some point in time, people fall out of love.
No, they do. Yep.
Sometimes people just realize, you know what, I want to go I want to take the fork in the road, and you don't want to take the fork in the road. And so it comes to a point of where you just start to divide. And at some point, you've got to say, do we keep going on, or do we separate while we're both in divorce, while we're both still young enough to be able to find someone? I hope I'm young enough. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder yet. To find somebody to finish our lives with. So divorce doesn't always mean one person is bad. It just means that those two individuals couldn't get along. That's what I hate about people when they talk about divorce. Which one was at fault? Doesn't necessarily mean anybody's at fault. It's just two. You have irreconcilable differences. What Maine has it, and you just get to the point of where it's not worth staying together. When my ex-wife and I went to our 13-year-old daughter and said, what would you think if you got divorced, if we were divorced? And she said, I think we'd probably be a happier family. Whoa. You talk about being hit in the face with a brick.
Yeah.
When your 13-year-old daughter is saying, I think we'd be a happier family. Everybody, you think about it a minute. If your kids are seeing what's going on, maybe you need to think about it.
I've dated two Filipinos, okay, and I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to bash them, all right, because they both were good women, okay, but one, I just wish the one would, again, would have just came out and said, listen, you know what, we either can be friends or that's it. You know what? I don't like being drug along. Nobody likes being drug along. But this is when the lying comes to it, is that all you're going to do in the end is either hurt somebody or you're going to get caught and people are going to be upset at you. And once it goes around out here or out in the streets, when it gets out there and people are going to go, we can't trust those people. When you're in a pinch and you need some help, they're going to say, no, I'm not going to help you because you have destroyed people. You have hurt people. And that's just how I feel. Like, maybe I'm wrong for trying to be honest, but that's just how I am. All right. Being honest is a good thing. And I feel that if you can't handle the truth, then maybe you're not meant for each other.
The one thing you'll find if you start dating a Filipina is they don't like conflict. They will do most anything to avoid conflict.
Right.
It's quiet. They'll shut down. Not
Very
talking
shut. I would
to
agree
much.
on that.
Yeah,
Well, that's regardless of race, really.
yeah.
Well, I think
Pinoy, I think are more so. I dated other races, and I think Pinoy, Filipinos are more so. But
A
if you
higher
do
probability,
something,
yes.
but if you do something wrong, to them, they can be as mean and nasty and vengeful as any other woman you have ever seen in your lifetime.
correct.
If you wrong them, if you make them feel like you've done something wrong to them, they are not that meek little shy person that you usually see.
No, but I would agree because that's like George when there are different things going on. Same thing. He'll avoid where maybe my ex American husband would have sat there and just been back and forth immediately. Having a confrontation. Hey, what's going on? Why this? And they would answer. George just will walk away and won't answer at all. And so sometimes in the past, that has caused some issues in our relationship where I felt like it wasn't communication, but he communicates when the time actually comes around, though. So when it comes to counting, he does. But besides that, yes, I find that most of them avoid confrontation. But on the other hand,
Yeah,
whether it's male or female, it
I'm
can
very
escalate.
okay, guys. You guys just
I always called him passive
reminded me of a certain
aggressive.
incident.
Uh-oh.
Um, I'm very non-aggressive. I wouldn't call myself a pacifist because again, I have,
Okay.
But so anyway, one point in time where my partner, she had kids, from a prior marriage, and her boyfriend came over, to talk to her. That's their business. Again, it's their old life, talking about finances, whatever, child support, whatever. That's their business. And so he came over and I was like, okay, you guys sit in the living room. I'll sit in the bedroom, leave you guys alone. Because again, I'm very secure of myself.
George is
This actually happened.
I'm gonna
So
leave him alone.
anyway, I was sitting in the bedroom playing with my fishes because I was a fish guy, I had aquariums and whatever. And then
Playing with him. Huh?
my partner had a big fight with her ex-husband, like big fight. It's so big that the cops are called over. I'm not even involved.
So you're just sitting in the bedroom.
I was sitting in the bedroom, and
Okay.
but again, remember, I'm more chill than most people realize. And again, that's their business. If they want to fight, that's their business. I have no say.
Now I'm letting you know if that went down and one of George's
Well, they
exes were doing
weren't
that, I'd have
fist
been out.
fighting, but they were yelling at each other. But remember, I really have no say in it, regardless of. I have boundaries. Trust me. So anyway, cops were called. They come over, and then they come in, and of course, I come outside, and then cop says, "Do you have any weapons in the house?" Yes, I do. I have guns in the back. So the cops come over, and they formed a line from my bedroom all the way to the squad car, grabbing one rifle to another on a line like this, and then. The guy, my ex's ex, went like this in the couch.
So he's about ready to piss himself.
Yeah, but I'm not that kind of guy. But it doesn't mean, again, I don't, shoot and stuff like that. I mean, come on, I'm a guy.
All I gotta say, that's just the weird part. He's so non-confrontational, but on the other hand, if you cross that line, like we always talk about the people that we set our trash cans on the outside of the fence, they're bolted down and everything. Because the guy comes at different times through the week. We never know. So during a live, he used to come, George had to run out. So we keep having these guys now that are ripping through the trash bags we're paying for. And they're everything, including the cat do, is in the bottom of the thing. And then our regular guy has to clean it up. Plus they're tearing the bags that we're paying for. George is like, that's okay. So like a few weeks are going by. That's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. It's not. And you know me, I'm like, hey, what the hell? And it's like, which normally would be a reaction of people, right? I'm like, okay, nothing I can do, And so I'm starting to become more and more like George now. Nothing we can do. And then one day, George just had, I said, George, I said, he's ripped through all the bags. That was it. George went out there and confronted the man. But I mean, it's rare that I see George in that rare form. And you did. You laid into him. And I'm telling you what, the guy almost shit a brick
It
himself.
takes a
because
lot, but
yeah,
Mhm.
so
Hey,
he
George,
kind of
what
waits
about
and
the old lady?
observes, you know.
Has the old lady that likes to try to start fires or whatever it is in the garbage?
Oh
Has
man,
she
she
been
comes
around?
here. Yeah,
she comes here every day now
right.
because
She
we
hides
started to
by her.
give her food now.
So we've been giving her food and water and stuff, and the
Yeah.
other neighbors have. But here's the thing: she's been showing up at 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and she showed up about 5. So sometimes all 3 times. So now we have the second dog out there, and so we have this, and then we got this yip 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 at the same time. And I'm like, holy smoke! So you cannot ignore dogs here because it could be somebody getting in your car, could be somebody coming up over the fence. I wish they would, and. I
Oh
hope
my
it's an
God.
expat, man. Expat on expat stuff. Come on, guys. But yeah,
My
it's
God.
Right. I need to clean some barrels. Just say.
I'm sorry, but
stun guns,
I'm just waiting
nunchucks,
for that one fool to do
bolo.
that.
Yeah, pew, pew.
Hey, Big Papa, but we're waiting for that one fool to do that, to climb over to
Oh,
see what happens.
hey, yeah, hey, Bruce, real quick. Last night, speaking of that, she was out there. So I finally fell asleep after doing like a bunch of comments and going through emails trying to catch up, right? And about 10:30 last night, we're going to release the footage. Was it a power line that exploded out there?
Yes, there was a power line that exploded last night, and
Again.
I only caught. I was actually asleep.
I thought it was
and-
fireworks, by the way.
And in my dream, I started
Another
hearing
holiday.
people like making a big fuss, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this is not a dream anymore." And so I woke up and I run
I said,
outside.
George, yeah, I was like, George, I said, there's wires, fireworks again. Now, yesterday was
It sounded like
it was Eid Mubarak
fireworks,
yesterday,
but it
the
wasn't
end
fireworks. It was a power line.
the Ramadan holiday, and like Filipinos are celebrating something every day. I get it. You know, there's basketball games in the neighborhood that just started. It's basketball season again, and it's like I said, okay, so maybe that's what's going on. And then all of a sudden, instead of running out, I decided to open up the camera to see what was going on. And all of a sudden, it looked like white snow falling. I guess somebody had an extinguisher, and it floated through the air that heavy that you could see what looked like snow going across the cameras. And I'm like, oh, crap. And George is like, he came back in, he goes, the power lines exploded. Something almost caught on fire. The fire trucks are out there. And I was like, holy smoke. So you can see when I looked at the camera this morning, you can actually see where it was just like you could see the outside lighting up. But everybody came out of their house. We didn't lose power, weirdly. Pelco was out here. The van came by and went in, but we didn't lose power, weirdly. But everybody, like our neighbor next door, the whole family came out. Like
I actually have a
the
video
daughter,
of
the
the
son,
fire truck.
the entire families came out at 10:30 at night. Little kids running up and down the street.
Do yourself a favor. Never spray anything on a down power line if it's alive, because some of these fire extinguishers have a liquid in them, and that will conduct electricity. So yeah, if it's down, just leave it alone. Stay away from it and let it do what it's going to do.
Right, that would be,
If it-
yeah, because we just got
it's
like
got-
some
Well-
small extinguishers, one for the bike
Well,
and one for the
If
car.
you get a
one
new
for the
one,
house.
they're probably okay. But some of these older ones, they have some liquid in them and just enough to conduct electricity through them. So just be
Yeah,
careful.
Right,
instead
right.
of putting the fire out, it'll just to ignite, make it go.
Kind of like the grease fires.
Well,
and
the thing
stuff.
is about the Philippines, they don't change the power lines unless it completely breaks.
Oh man,
Well,
Well,
I
I'm
was-
so old.
And
Correct.
we were happy because the fire truck came right away. So we've had like 3 what I call almost serious fires here in this neighborhood since we've been here, and it'll be 2 years in October.
And
And
and I'd never
they're
had
here
a,
right
a
away.
friend that worked in the power company, oddly enough. What I'm saying is, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but they don't have reroutes here, meaning like in the US, if a power line needs to be replaced, they can shut down that particular line and
Oh, they
reroute
break
the
it,
power
yeah, they
from
break
somewhere
it.
else. They have uninterrupted service. Here, they don't have that. They either the line burns or not. You know what I'm saying?
I,
And then
I
they
spent almost 20 years in the fire department. I got to tell you a funny story talking about electricity and fire lines and so forth. So we got a call of a down power line. And so I took my truck 214, we jumped in it, and we all went over. And there's about four of us all got out there, and the fire line's there. And we're trying to stay away from it. You know, we're 15 feet, 20 feet away from it. And all of a sudden, that thing hit something and sparked. And when it did, that power line jumped and headed right straight toward us. I'm talking right in within like 3 or 4 feet from our feet. And you never see anything so funny as to see four firemen jumping around trying to get away from that power line, all dressed in our fire gear and shit.
unless it's
Oh
in
my
business.
God, that was one of the funniest things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could have answered that.
No,
Yeah.
well, actually, I was.
Yeah, if
but
we were getting to that being he was talking. Yeah, if you get the import permits.
the
I
answer
was
is
double checking.
technically no. However, the way around that is actually what Paige Pepper says. You can. However, you have to go through a dealer, which by that time you might as well have bought it here.
Well, that's
thought you're not supposed to have
it's
that.
not a local dealer. You have to go through the Philippine National.
Well,
Police,
that's what I'm
it
saying.
says.
You might as well buy
If
it
he's
here
bringing,
and go
Well, I
through.
thought- I
Because
thought
it
we
doesn't
had
mean you have the
Firearms,
weapon. It doesn't mean
it's
it's.
the
yeah.
PNP FEO is who would actually cover.
But
that.
I thought it's only the Filipinos are allowed to have weapons.
No,
I didn't
you
think-
No,
can
not
actually,
necessarily. No.
if you get a permit here, you have to go through like a course.
Yeah,
and do
you have to go
different
through the
things.
PNP. It's the same way that I own firearms in the U.S. And someone, "Look, you're not a citizen. How can you? You
And
can. Sorry, but
It's
that's the
paperwork.
law.
It's a matter of
But
paperwork.
no, same thing here. You can.
Oh,
But
cool.
you have to go through
But yeah, I
certain
probably
channels.
can't bring one of mine then. Huh?
No, you have to.
Get the-
It's cheaper to let it go and start from scratch. Otherwise, I would have brought stuff over here. I mean,
I suppose I could just sell what I got and buy over there.
yeah.
You know, in the Philippines has a couple of good manufacturers over there too. One of the Rock Island factory over there is a really good factory. They make a nice 1911, nice firearm. So anybody who has to sell their firearms, who go over there, don't worry about buying over there because they do have decent firearms.
Yeah, Bisankana says Philippine has real, control if you want to go through an effort. No, even honestly, even I kind of like teeter and like, honestly, I feel safe enough. I don't feel like I need one, if that makes any sense.
I've
Same.
worn
There's
one.
other things
I mean,
I've worn one since I was
like razor blades and
old.
lemon juice.
in the US, honestly, I felt like I needed one.
absolutely.
And I was in a safe neighborhood. And again, and my neighbors are cops and my friends are cops, but I never felt safe.
Around here, we
Um,
worry about the animals, and I ain't talking about the two-legged ones.
Actually, that's another thing. Yes. There's some creatures that
Amazing.
killed my chickens. Yes. There's some nights I ran out with the farm because somebody's attacking my chickens.
Well,
Yeah.
my dog, my female's in heat right now, and I have coyotes out in my back. Yeah, on my back, we have quite a lot of acreage out behind us, so I can hear the coyotes out there, and I have to watch my female when I send her out and keep her close, because the coyotes will try to lure her out because she's in heat right now, try to lure her out into the backwoods and so forth. So
No. Coyotes are always a problem. Actually, Ted is in the room. Ted has an issue with coyotes, and I showed Heidi videos of cougars jumping the fences and taking away dogs. Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
animals are always a concern.
yeah, I lost
So-
my daughter had 38 chickens, and one by one they all
Yeah, one by one. And here's the sad part about that: they don't eat the whole chicken; they only eat part of it and let the rest to rot.
Well,
I mean, I get
these
it.
coyotes, and we knew it was coyote, and I saw a fox out here. I didn't shoot it. I probably should have. But they have babies, and during the summer they're just feeding their babies, so it kind of sucks. But their babies got to eat too, I suppose. I'm not one of these guys. Oh my God, we have to kill the fire. You have to kill the coyote. We have to kill the no coyotes have been here for forever and ever. Leave them alone.
We got problems here too with them. I had my oldest cat that I still have. He's 16, and at the time when my one female started having a litter of cats, he would come in once in a while, but he kind of didn't want to. So, anyways, I was just feeding him, out out front here, and you know, I would watch, you know. So anyways, I go out one day and these two coyotes are just stumbling by, man. And I, you know, like one ran through my neighbor's yard, one was coming right on the street. So anyways, I came out and I pushed the ones, like I was going at them, pushed them out, and then there was a couple elderly ladies walking by, and I yelled because one was one that ran through the houses was running right exactly towards these ladies, and the other one was coming around the side. So I yelled out, but yeah, I was probably about 1.5 feet away from these things, man, just walking out my door.
Yeah, the thing of it is, coyotes are extremely, extremely smart. They're one of the smartest things that I've ever. Because I used to be a trapper from the age of 9 till the age of about 50, I guess. I used to run my own trap line, and they were one of the hardest animals I ever tried to catch in a trap. They're so tricky, and if you've got a male dog, they will actually send out one of their females when it's in heat to lure your male dog to go back into the woods with them, so they can kill that male dog. That's how tricky these animals are. Yeah,
well, I think the biggest animal we're fighting here is like ants and
Right.
right. Because
Now,
really, it's just stray animals in the city, but bugs.
now again, in the city,
You don't have to
keyword
go-
city, you know, you don't have to worry about cougars, coyotes,
And then comes snakes.
and snakes. You don't have to worry about that in the city.
No, they
Keyword
still
city.
exist.
No, they're
but
here, but odds
not
are
like Cebu where all the cobras are
well,
existing.
what I'm saying
again
is, for
and-
example, in the empty lot next door, there won't be snakes over there because even though it's an
Well,
empty
we've
lot, it's
seen
heavily
little ones.
trafficked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
we've seen-
still, I mean, not cobras.
biggest
They're,
thing we
they're
deal
more
with
out
is
in the
ants.
farms and
They're all
stuff,
back.
most of them.
If you look online, I can't remember if it's Lie, my either my grandfather or my uncle, I can't remember which. I think it was Lie or something that he used to sprinkle around the perimeter of his house and so forth, and it kept the snakes out. Now, of course, that's the type of snakes we have here. I don't know if it'll work on regular snakes, but he always claimed that the snakes won't cross it because it burns their belly. The Lie burns their belly when they cross it. So look into that. That would be something if you could.
Well, the problem with that is you have to make sure that there are no other creatures in that area.
Oh, it won't kill them or anything.
Hey George, I wanted to tell you that I'm gonna bring you some garlic cheddar cheese biscuits. Heidi will be able to make. They're easy. They're like easy peasy. Like they're just like doing homemade, but all you need is a little tiny bit of milk. That's it, and some cheese.
Oh, sweet.
Right. Now Tim says they forgot the hand grenades under the couch, but he says lots of cougars are like stray cats who don't have anything to offer. Oh, wrong cougars. Actually, here cougars are kind of. I said kind of. Now I didn't say they don't exist. I'm not talking about cougars as in animals that prey on other animals. We're talking about cougars. Here in the Philippines, they're relatively rare. I said relatively. Do they exist? Yes. Cougars do exist here in the Philippines. However, they're rare. What I'm saying is when a woman reaches over 30 here, they're classified as cougars. It's just a thing.
Really?
And
Are
then
you serious, George?
yes.
30 years old.
30 years old. 30 years old. And then
that makes us.
that's exactly that's what I'm saying. That's why cougars here do they exist. Yes. They're rare because they're very frowned upon.
Or something.
You know, they're frowned upon. They're like, oh, you know, first off, a woman going after a guy is frowned upon in our culture in the first place. Second off, their age. So it's double frowned upon. Do they exist? Yes, but very low probability. Other than online. Online is a different story entirely. I'm talking about in real life, meeting in bars or, you know, that kind of stuff.
Let me tell you about what it says here about Frankenstein boyfriends. I found an article that talks about unhealthy love triangles, and it shows like a woman with what appears to be her boyfriend or husband holding the hand of a boyfriend behind her. It says, love triangle with a woman is part of her Frankenstein boyfriend project. Wow. Um, Frankenstein hoping to rip off another man's woman. So this article is saying that other guys know they can move in on somebody's woman. So she's actually sleeping with the guy, another guy, and everything. And here it doesn't mention it's for money or whatever, but maybe what do you call that when the woman slinks off when she knows she's moving on to her next thing during a relationship?
You mean the saying that I always say
What is it?
that they have already,
Yeah.
cut the pony out of the herd?
Well, yeah, that they moved on.
Yeah, they've moved
So
on already.
yeah, but it looks like here she's just hanging with an extra guy all the time.
Yeah, JJ's right too. The leftover women you hear.
Yeah, no. Again, this is a real thing in Asia. In China,
Yeah.
cougar 30 and over is called a leftover. 30 is really like an American 40-year-old. Hard to get a job there. Shunned by
Very
other men.
true. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I still don't think it would be hard here to be a cougar if you died, say, in
Oh,
3 hours.
Mike
and 52
says
minutes.
it's called monkey branching, meaning
monkey branching. That was
monkey
it,
branching.
Mike.
Yeah, monkey branching.
Hey, Mike.
Monkey branching.
Monkey branching. So yeah,
And
this
like
Frankenstein
Yeah,
Going
they're
from
not,
one to another.
relationship.
they're not going to let you go until you're useless to them.
I mean, I already posed this earlier about what may or may be happening, but do you think the same thing's happening with some of these bloggers like Tim K and Chrissy? Do you think being he runs around town and it's evident that he's horsing around, do you think she's got a guy being she's so young? I mean, we're
Come on,
talking
Chrissy. Oh my
where's-
God, she's such a good girl. Don't say that. My God.
I don't
like
know.
Such a good
That's
girl.
just it. You guys think all these women are innocent.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't-
think they're as
I don't
innocent as
think
they
it
look
is.
anymore. And
Listen, I
even
don't know
innocent
her.
women get lonely. So think about that, Big Papa. I'm sure
Right.
she's got to be lonely and
Okay,
No,
run
now
not her. She was probably
personally, do I think Creasy is doing that? Personally, I don't think so. However, be aware, I don't know her.
Yeah, I don't know her
Nobody
either. I
really
don't think
knows.
so.
No,
either,
but exactly.
So yeah.
Personally, do I think she's doing it? I don't think so. But do I know her? I don't.
The ones you wouldn't
No.
think are doing it would be.
Doesn't
and
mean
I'm
that
just curious because
They don't appear so. It doesn't
They're
mean
not
that
all
they
innocent.
A lot of
aren't.
these
That's for
guys
damn
don't
sure.
think that these women have the husband or kids out in the province look super innocent, and then bam. And they don't have to be here in Angel City for this to happen. It could be just somebody's dating that's a coffee shop girl in, say, Iloilo or in Cebu, or it could just be just about anything.
Andy, she's talking to her sister. Andy, oh my, come on. That's innocent. She's talking to her sister. She's texting mommy back and forth.
Well, not necessarily.
Come on,
no.
Andy.
Not necessarily. I'm not. Again, I'm not 100% agreeing with Andy. Okay.
And this can't happen.
But what I'm
in any
saying is, again,
culture.
remember, we don't know her. However, it doesn't mean that she's on the phone either. That she's talking to people necessarily.
Because
Be looking
think
up
of it
the
this way.
weather.
And this is going to offend some guys, but I'm going to put this out there. Here's another example. It doesn't have to be, Filipina here. It could be like when a guy was away in the military and stuff, and they've got their wife or girlfriend that's got a young side piece. I mean, he's paying the bills. He's away and
She's
gone.
lonely. Needs that boom boom.
Right. So she's keeping both just when he's back in town and off of the ship or not overseas or something else. I'm sure it's something similar too. I mean, I'm aware that this does happen. Same thing. And I'm sure the guys are too, as far as when they, a woman in every port thing is a real
Well,
thing.
and
guys.
again, honestly, again, you wouldn't know if somebody's cheating on you or not. Honestly, if they really want to hide it from you or not. If they want to be caught, that's a different story.
There are some people that actually just tell
And
me.
also be aware that I've been accused of cheating, even though I'm not talking about Heidi.
Oh, I know.
And
I
and
hope not.
I'll
My
say
God,
something that
please.
Heidi will agree to. Okay, when I talk to clients, okay, I use a different voice. It's what people who know me, they call it George's sweet voice. Have you not heard this voice?
Can I get an
Do I talk like this?
a little
So-
softer?
No, I
Here's the
don't. I
thing.
talk sweeter to clients, but it sounds like I'm talking to a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But
my
somebody
fault.
that doesn't know that could be saying like what Andy just did.
Correct. Correct.
My
And see,
ex-wife
here's the
always
thing.
says it.
We can't accuse. Listen, it doesn't matter if we like them or don't like them. Me personally, I don't like him, but I don't know him and I don't know her, and we just can't accuse people if we don't know. You know,
Mike?
Correct.
even
Correct.
Heidi even said that the other day about I think it was Dexter. You're gonna ruin somebody's life, man. Out there putting that filth out there, man. If you're lying about that because you're upset and don't like them,
And that's
I
yeah,
get
and
it.
that's why we try to get as much information, and we're trying not to beat people to the punch. You always see us sometimes cover something the next day, or trying to get, you
You
play
don't
by
gotta
the
be
words in the
first, just be
paper,
correct.
or, try to get
You
it
don't
as
gotta be
close as
first, just gotta
possible.
be right.
I mean, I
Right.
like Andy Omar. I think Andy Omar, he's been keeping it real, but there's certain things that I don't agree with. You just can't
I
accuse
think that's
people.
everybody.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah,
nobody
That's
agrees with
all of
everybody
us. Yeah. So
100%.
I 100%.
We
Yeah.
don't
And that's
agree
what
100,
that's
but
with
that's
any of
fine.
the
But
vloggers, but
right,
nobody's
but
going to
we
be
can.
satisfied.
Yeah, but we can act like this and talk about it. We're not sitting here calling each other names. I'm not sitting here saying George is this or Heidi's that or
And we're
Big
willing to
Papa's
face the
this.
people that we talk about.
Well,
Usually
it's
we
one thing
drop
if you're
something.
joking
So
around. It's another thing if you're actually
And you guys
accusing.
bring them on. You'll invite them. So, like, even if you're talking about them, you guys always invite the people on. So,
yeah,
fair
we
game
got
is fair
confronted
game.
about what we were saying about the Muslim girl, and I told George after I thought about that, I just should have went more into, with her being a religious person, and that I used to know a lot of Muslims, and to talk about their body parts like that's what actually, just as a female, that it was that. And we said the safety thing. If somebody sees her video and recognizes her and then sees him around town again, it's not a safe thing. It's just not, a safe way to talk about, look at the big tatas on this Muslim. And I'm like, thinking afterwards, why would he actually mention that she's Muslim? He could have left all that out too. He said, well, what's the deal about her being Muslim? Why did he have to put it in the title? So after I thought about it, it was like, it just, none of it needed to be. But like I said, nobody's going to like the people's content, is where it, not everybody
Not
will
everybody, not
agree.
everybody.
Heidi, you lived in the Middle East, right?
I have been there, didn't live
Okay.
there long term. No.
You were married to a couple Muslim guys, right?
Hmm.
So, what is their policy on women? And I'm not saying it goes there in the Philippines or U.S. because people record. I
Yeah,
get
there's
that.
a lot of Muslims here now.
But the thing
No, it's talking about
is
being
you
on
don't in other countries you don't do that. If you get
Well,
caught recording
correct.
them,
If that was done and he was in where I've been in Egypt and Jordan and places like this, then he would have been attacked.
there's a chance this
They would
GoPro
have
would have been
seen that, yes.
confiscated and whatever.
I
yeah,
gotta tell you,
Actually, he
Oh,
would
the
have been
big beat.
reported, and he might have been deported for that
Right.
in a Middle
Yeah.
East.
I gotta tell you a little story because you don't hear many good stories about Muslims and so forth enough. So I gotta tell you one. My sister-in-law and my brother-in-law were Muslims, and they're two kids. All right. My last trip to the Philippines, those three women, the two girls and the wife, fed us. They took care of the house while we were there. They were the nicest, most courteous people you could ask for.
Mhm.
They did everything for us. They were so good.
Very hospitable.
Yes, I mean extremely, extremely. And each time that we've ever gone there, they've always been extremely nice and so forth. And my brother-in-law, who is very, he's very, I don't know if you call it devout Muslim or what you call it, but he lived in Saudi Arabia, and him and I got along great. I mean, when him and I were there, even me being from America, being from the U.S., you would wonder, how is it going to work out, being Muslim and him, being there. And him and I joked around, and I mean, just, you can't paint them all with a single brush.
Right. And in the video that he put out, and I had mentioned this before, so I mean, it was his right to question me on this, is that he mentioned that she was angry. If you guys remember, I showed you a clip of that. It said angry Muslim, and then the title said something about big breasted Muslim woman, angry or something. the trike almost hit her. So of course he did it in slow motion and showed her, and then a bunch of the comments, which he's not responsible for his comment section. He can delete some of them, but a lot of people had made comments about her being plus size, overweight. And I didn't see any of that in the girl, but it just went like in a weird direction. But for me, it shouldn't have mattered to mention that she was Muslim. People can see that. But it was the fact
That's
that it
right,
was
yeah.
this feature of the video, as I mean, it's not like I would go by a church and if we caught a big breasted woman do the same thing, okay, say, hey, look at this Christian big breasted woman, that's trying to buy bread. It would just, we'd probably have our whole channel shut down in 2.2
Here's
seconds.
the
You know,
difference.
my
The difference
daughter
is
was there with
Christians
us,
can talk.
and my daughter's Catholic. My wife is ex-wife is very Catholic, went to Catholic schools and so forth. And they invited my daughter. Matter of fact, when we were there, I enrolled my daughter in school. We were there for 8 weeks, and while we were there, I enrolled her in school for the 8 weeks that we were there to give her that cultural, experience and so on. But anyways, they invited her up to go and pray with them, because they pray, several times a day. They invited her up to go pray with them, so she could experience it, so she could see what it was about and so forth. So yeah, I mean, they were, and yes, it was my brother-in-law. Yeah, yes, I know that, but still, their religion is number one to them, and still, they were able to be decent to us, even knowing that their religion is number one to them.
And here's another thing about the Muslim women that do cover, like she's not full burqa or anything. Some were over in Egypt, and like
He's
where
good.
I'd lived, but she was wearing hijab and she was wearing long sleeves. So this means she's a modest woman, covering. And then here you have the vlogger that's like, bam, putting her boobs out there and saying she's angry and big breasted when really she was just a average Muslim out there that day.
Well, she's a conservative Muslim. There's a lot of Muslim women there
Right,
that don't
so-
cover up at all.
Right,
Well,
which
yeah,
brings us
that's true.
around to the rules and laws of the Philippines of exposing women on camera like that. If the woman recognized her own footage or the family got a hold of it, that's what we were putting out that day when we were discussing it, is that it could become a problem. There's the two factors that it's still anti-busto law. Is that one?
Anti-Bastos law.
Pastaco bustos.
11313.
Right. So dealing with, women being exposed on camera, or, there are some rules to this, because me and George was talking, we seen somebody yesterday. It's a small channel. I think he's only got a couple hundred subscribers and he gets like 100 views on his video, but it's a small channel that's here in Angel City that's been trying to expose things like Philly and some other people. He's covering these channels. He's now just covering about vloggers, like we covered a while back about, they need to control their cameras. There are rules, things about public, like that Russian guy down on Walking Street that we told you about a few weeks ago, where he got in people's faces with the cameras, and he's been pushed. There's been some incidents with him and the bar people. And we said that eventually they're going to come up where you need to, which you're, like George said, you're already supposed to have permits. You're already supposed to be licensed here to be a business person, to there are rules to being vloggers here, but most of them aren't following about paying taxes. And that's a whole separate subject. But eventually, kind of like the guys that come on Walking Street that do these filmings or filmings throughout the Philippines, kind of like in Mexico, you have to have permits to fly drones. You have to have permits to do camera shots in certain areas. Even iPhones. It doesn't matter what you're using. If you're filming in any manner, it requires permits. And I feel eventually this will happen.
I gotta ask Andy something. Andy
Well, yeah,
Omar.
that's gonna ruin it. And that's the thing.
And the guy said for expats, so he goes, expats ought to have permits like filming crews. And I'm like, everybody, because it's Filipinos doing it too. They're exposing their own people in poverty and.
Well, first off,
women
before you
and-
can have a film permit, you have to have actually a legal stance and having a permit in the first place.
Right. You're supposed to be signed up to pay taxes. You're supposed to be signed up as a
Corporation.
freelancer, not
Correct.
corporate, a freelancer.
Or a freelancer or something.
Yeah,
a
the
business.
same as, when you sell the T-shirts online and you do any of that here in the Philippines and you're living here more than a few months, which would be considered starting to become a permanent resident, then you need all that. So to run your
Andy
YouTube.
Omar, I keep watching these channels, and I'm not going to say names. If you guys know the channels, you know who I'm talking about, that are bringing on these 18, 19, 20-year-old girls, doing the interviews with them and so forth.
There's a
Now,
lot of, yeah.
we are assuming these girls are 18. We're not asking anybody for any IDs and so forth. What's the difference between what these other bloggers are doing and whoever you're talking about? I know before you were talking about Scotty, whoever else. I mean, what's the difference between what these girls are doing, these other bloggers are doing, and what these guys are doing? It's the same thing. I would dare say a lot of these 18-year-old girls are probably 17, and they're just trying to attract an American now, and by the time the guy gets here, they'll be 18. Are you paying attention to those two, Andy? I'm not saying you're doing bad or good. I'm just asking, are you paying attention?
Oh, there's several of them that. But I'm going to ask a question to the people in the room, and I want to know what you would do. And I kind of know the answer, and you guys may agree or disagree. And I'll ask George. Okay, an example. We had heard from somebody about a situation about they're saying that they know there's somebody dating an underage girl, but they're out in the province.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, so when you have somebody that's out in the province and you have a lot of official families, living in the province is another game of living here in the Philippines. Okay. And we discussed that, which probably will be another live stream. But the guy was like, he knows about it. But then I asked him, I said, are you discussing that it's a Filipino or it's Filipinos that know about it and there's an expat involved in all that? And they said yes, somewhere along in this line. So if they knew that she was an underage girl and someone's dating an underage girl out in the province because he was wanting to report it. So should you report it when you know all those locals know about it?
Now, I know the answer legally
and
here.
there can be cops.
But guys in the room, address Heidi again.
Yeah, so would you guys report it or not get involved in it? Remember, you're an expat.
Let us know your input. Because there is an actual answer for that.
I'll tell you my view of it. The United States has a law, and the law says that when you are abroad, you are to abide by the laws in the country of the USA. Yes. Doesn't matter what the law is in the country that you're visiting, that you abide by the US law. If they're dating someone or having sexual contact of anything with someone below the age of 18, yes, absolutely, I'd turn their asses in a second.
All right. Remember, though, okay, we're talking about, as I'm to understand, it may not even be an expat. It could just be a Filipino guy with an underage. So I guess it doesn't matter whether it's an expat. The local people know about it with a blessing. Okay. So you're talking about the police may know about it and the whole 9 yards. This actually changes some things, considering a lot of these guys build houses out there, their whole lives are out there, and when to get involved and not to get involved, may apply in this situation.
But the problem is okay, let's say, okay, she's 17, so we're gonna let it go. And then next time, oh well, she's 16, so we'll let it go. Oh, we'll see. Where does that stop? You've got to say 18 is it. And whether, I don't care whether it's a Filipino, because the age in the Philippines is 18. It's not 16.
Okay, but you're not in the United States, Big Papa.
I know.
You're in a different country. Okay, and you're talking about cops that if they see and they don't care, like Heidi just said, it don't matter what we think. It's
correct. It has nothing to do with. We're not talking about the U.S. again. In all fairness,
and I'm just saying, you're talking about if the cops aren't doing anything about it, it doesn't matter what we feel about it, Big Papa. It's not right. It's disgusting. But
what about the kid?
What
about
the
girl?
Are you going to piss off a whole group of people?
If I have to,
yes. Come after you.
Well,
I'm staying out of it. I'm staying out of
No.
it. It's not my business.
It's,
If it's
yeah, it's
not
kind
my
of like the
business,
stabbings down on
stay
Walking
out of it.
Street.
I mean,
Oh,
So
if
those
I go
that's
into an area and it's none of my business,
that's
that's one thing. But
Filipino
if
to
I'm living
Filipino.
there, it's my area, and I see
if
it, I
her
don't care how.
no, I guess her family knows. That's the crazy part is family knows,
Her
local,
family
you
don't
know,
care.
and the surrounding area. Because once you get out to the province, it is definitely a different
Well, it
situation.
applies to the city too.
Well, it applies to the city, yeah, kind of like
Again,
where
there is a
we.
legal census,
Change
and
the
again, I'm
law.
familiar with
Okay,
this
Big Papa,
situation.
go ahead.
Then
You
change
just
the
said
law.
if it's in your neighborhood, what are you gonna do?
If everybody who says it's okay, then change the law.
Here's the thing: it's not okay. But you also got to realize you've been there. You should know that you don't
I
get in people's
I think
business.
the only time I would get involved, like seriously involved, regardless, and I would stand my ground, is like if it's a 8-year-old, 9-year-old that it's really, really
Oh,
where
I
the
agree
child
with that,
has
Heidi.
no
If it's an 8 or
control or
9-year-old little
something.
kid,
But
yeah.
as far as, I mean, there are people trading their kids off here and in other Asian countries over a bag of rice and $20, $30. They end up inside brothels,
Well, not just here,
call
obviously.
centers.
Several
No,
parts of
other
the world.
Asian, yeah,
Not just Asia.
yeah. Well,
Different parts of the world.
yeah, it happens
I
here.
mean,
Now, let me read the comments, and then I'll
But
give you the legal
but
George,
stance.
can I say
but for
something real quick,
me,
please,
it's I
before you
get
go to
it.
the
But if
comments?
it's a 15, 16, 17-year-old, like in my personal opinion, and this might offend some people, like the Uncle Jesse thing, I just wouldn't have got involved because minimally she does look 16. And she looks very young, and I get it, but I wouldn't have been sweating him for her ID or. I mean, I thought it was a little weird, but I wouldn't have went as far as to go after him. But if she'd have looked 6'7", and then he was admitting to all of that, then I probably took a bus ride. So I mean, there is a point.
All right. So
I
again, let me
give
read
you-
the comments, and then give you the legal stance of the film.
Yeah, I've given
George,
Jen.
can I add
says,
something?
personally, I would report it on the down low. I used to teach, and the mandated report in me is hard to shake off now. Andy Omar says there's creeps who believe the age of consent is 16. WTF?
Right.
Mike Ross says gross. It's not clicking there.
And the same
right.
here. A lot of the guys know that these girls that are here in the bars, it's evident when they keep doing these busts, they're 13, 14, and 15-year-olds.
Right. Andy
And
Omar.
they still go. A lot of the groups that are living down there that are Americans, they know this.
Right.
That group that lives down there knows a lot of those girls. And they admit it on their channels. We know these girls. But yet they still frequent the bars, and it's kind of odd.
But ask an American if I wouldn't think so. Bisayan Kano says, if it's not an expat, although I believe in this particular instance, it is an expat. That's the reason why it caught our attention. It's like Star Trek mentality, not to interfere. As an expat, I'm a Marites, 100%. Bruce Davis says, well, Bruce says, in his opinion, it's sick. Page Expat Pepper says, it's not directly related to my wife's family, not my biz.
And that's the thing, George. Like, I want to ask you, like Heidi brought it up and stuff. Yeah, it's sick to me. But you grew up in the Philippines, man. Like, would that comment that Mike just did? Would you just say,
no, I know,
forget it?
Right. For immigrants, I'm always
have to say
18,
yeah.
regardless of age, consent, where the country where they reside or visit, and no, I didn't have that ready. Today wasn't that topic. Yeah, but that needs to be converted and all that. But okay, well, babe, that's not really related to the topic.
Well,
all right. So anyway, so a little late, but that's when it happened. And long as I stay healthy, my parents gene play out, I'll be good. At least I'm 80 before my physicality goes weak. Well, Travel Trend says is if it's a Filipino, it's not my battle. Well, actually, yes, that kind of has a bearing to the subject at hand. Not necessarily this one. What I'm saying is, if you're an expat, you have to step back. Says, does this concern me, or can I be concerned about it? In this situation, can you? Yes. Travel Trends, amen. If it's Filipino, Andy Omar says that 16-year-old thing is for Filipinos. not for Westerners. Mike Ross says, Mike, I'm just gonna read through the comments and then we'll pop in. You don't see any older Filipino guys openly walking around with underage girls. Come on. This stuff happens behind closed doors. Well, not really, no. Dicky Spats groomers, yes, there are groomers out there for real. Some out in the open. Uncle Jesse, she looks young, even if she's 20s. It seems ethically and morally effed up. Now, Mike, what's your take in it?
Well, it's funny part, right? Like I brought in that lawyer the other day, right? And I did an
Right.
interview. And I asked her specifically, I said, hey, let's discuss about the age of consent. And I specifically asked 2 different questions. Age of consent and age to be legal to be married. 2 separate questions.
Right.
And she specifically said 18. Now, I enjoyed it because I knew that there was going to be people that's going to get triggered. And sure enough, that you guys have there was guys commenting saying, well, Duterte raised the age of consent from 12 to 16 on this part, and guys were just like, having to defend that. The fact that you have to defend that it's okay, that there's a law that, there's 16-year-old age of consent, that already shows the mindset that you're living in as a man. That's already right there showing for the fact that, well, but you see here. And
Well
then
said,
another
Mike.
thing that a lot of foreigners will say is this. Well, the Filipinos get away with it. They do that all the time. It doesn't matter if there's people that get away with it in a country. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're going to use that as a reason is the dumbest thing that any guy can use, because then that shows your mindset as a guy. That shows your mindset that that's typically what you want. Now, age of consent 12 before, okay? Age of consent 12 before. But did people bother reading the law? Because under the law, it states there has to be a 3-year difference.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Correct.
Yeah,
for
we
it to be
covered that
legal
when that-
consent,
Correct.
the guy has to
Yeah,
be
we did a whole video
15.
on this about 2 years ago.
He can't be older than 15 to be getting with the 12-year-old. But they
Correct.
hear this age of consent 12, and these little boogers, these little hood boogers are going to be like, but it's the law. But did you read
No.
all the law? And then it just goes to the whole part that, just because you don't know the law, that doesn't mean that the law cannot be used on you.
Right.
Like the guys are just going to, I didn't know. And then there's these guys that's going to say something like, well, laws in the Philippines don't apply to us foreigners because we're American. No, when you're in the Philippines, the law applies.
Correct.
It
It
applies
does. I know, it's
specifically.
crazy.
And that's why I even I even asked a question to the lawyer, right? I asked the question, well, can anyone report it, or does it have to be the parents? And she specifically says it doesn't matter who reports it.
Yes.
All right. So in
Correct.
this case that I'm talking about, where the question come through, because we know all of that, is in general, there are guys facing this in the province, whether it's an expat with a 12-year-old or 13-year-old dating him, Filipino with Filipino, when to get involved as the expat and other Filipinos' business, or a foreigner and a Filipino when the local province, especially out in the provinces, to get involved in that, Mike.
Here's the thing, right? Some people want to get involved, some people don't.
Correct.
That's the question of your character as a person. Now, Bruce, I have something to have to say to you on something, okay? With respect. You said that, well, in the Philippines, well, if the cops don't care about it, it is what it is what you said, right? So my question is, if that's your stance, then what if it's your daughter? Just because the cops don't care, you're not going to do anything about it and report it?
No, I get. Listen, I get what you're saying. You can put it as a daughter again. Okay, I am not okay with that. Okay, for one.
Okay.
Secondly, if I'm in a place that's out and about and I piss off a whole bunch of people, all right, I may not be able to report. I might get. Who knows? I might get killed. Okay. You can't sit
Especially
here
if
and
the
say that I'm
family's
okay
involved.
with
I
this
said
because
if
I'm
it
not.
appears to be a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, or a
No,
child that can't help
I'm not
themselves, but
okay with
somebody
none of this. Period.
who looks
All right.
16,
This
17,
is
I'm
what I
not
want
going to
to
get involved.
listen.
And that's a
I'm not
dilemma.
okay with this.
Yeah.
Period. At all. All right.
Yeah. So
I
there's
prefer older women, and I have said that on this
like, what
channel.
was his
All
name that
right.
was here? Those kids were 10,
Children need to be
9 that were in
protected
his
and
house.
not
We got
by
involved in that
pedophiles and
because they were
perverts.
young school kids he was dragging in his house. We got involved. People came and reported him, that kind of thing. But
Well, now in fairness,
When does the age when is the age where then you can report it? Where's the where's the cutoff line? That's my thing. Like for me, wise in the ethical standards of things, where is the age? So 17, you're like, well, she's 17. We'll let that slide. 16, we'll let that slide. 9, we'll let that slide. Maybe 8, maybe 7. Like when does it all of a sudden?
Exactly. That's what I
well,
was
but
saying.
you would do that, Mike, if you were living out in the province where the families know about it, the police know about it, know there could be consequences.
That's the unfortunate thing. They have this thing called bystander effect. I think that's a bystander effect. Like, how do I know that the cops know about it? How do I know all the neighbors know about it? Are there going to be some that's going to be
What if they
there?
do?
Sure. But for me to then say, well, the cops know about it because they live in the area, that's the bystander effect. We see that happening in New York. That's where bystander effect was taken from, where this one girl was being attacked in the middle of the street in nighttime. There's people out there watching what's going on. People just voyeured and watched. Nobody reported because somebody thought that somebody else is going to report.
That would be in my own country, then I would get involved. But outside,
I don't
out in
think
the
it
province,
matters.
knowing that the
I don't-
police know.
I don't think it matters what country or where you are. Right is right. Evil is only going to flourish when good people do nothing.
Yeah, but see, Heidi, just and this is to have a constructive talk. So then why, if that's the case, if it's not your country, why did you go about reporting the other guy?
Because
Andrew.
they were young school kids.
See,
Several
that's
of them in his house.
But that's what
Inside
I'm
of his
just.
house.
But I get it. I understand, and I agree with it. And I made a video about it. I did write reports about it as well because that's where it is, right? But then for us, you can't say that. Well, it's not my country. I'm not from here. But then you see that, and that's wrong. It's like where? That's what I'm asking is here is like because for people to have the understanding, where is the line? Where is that age line that we say okay, just let it be? Where's the geographic area of things? Is it okay to report in the city, or is it because you said if like people said, if it's in, like Bruce was saying, is if it's in the boonies, it's in the thing. Well, then I'm not going to do anything about it. That's I think the line that needs to be kind of looked into, right?
So,
It's like
okay,
it's
so
making that definition.
let me reframe something here. Okay, you're right. Like Big Papa was saying, the laws. We all got to follow them. We all got to respect them. Whatever. We don't have to like them, but we have to respect them and we have to follow them. Okay. If I seen somebody that is about 70, 75 years old with a 16 or 17-year-old, and I am out there, and the family is okay with that. I am not okay with that. I want to make that clear. I am not okay with anybody.
No, we understand that, Bruce. It's not your stance. We get it.
Dating.
Yeah,
an
and we were
underage
specifically
kid.
posing
No.
this one.
I do not
No.
want to get killed.
Right. Well, actually, again, I'm going to tell you forget what Mike says, forget what Heidi says, forget it. Point being is, here's the reality. And what I'm saying is, I get there's the law, there's the black and white, but here's the thing. Here's the reality of things in the Philippines. This particular gentleman, we're actually talking about a specific guy, and he's getting away with it, okay? Do we condone it? We don't. Is he getting away with it? Yes. Now, when we say, not us exactly, it's not just from us, that the police know about it, the parents know about it, odds are the barangay knows it. Trust me. What if the police know about it, the barangay knows about it? Because here's the thing. If, let's say, Bruce, again, you report it to this cops, right? And they'll talk to you. In all probability, if they know about it, they'll be like, yeah, we know about it. We already talked to the parents. They're okay with it. Thank you for your report.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's right. Point being is, if somebody reports, they'll go to the cops, they'll go to the barangay will go to the parents, and the barangay says, "Yeah, we know about it. It's okay." I'm not saying it's right. That's a different battle at that point. It depends up to the cops. It depends on the barangay on their stance on that matter versus reality and versus law. That's just the way it is.
Okay, I get
Because
a
in the
question.
barangay,
I
remember,
get a
barangay is the
question.
lowest form of LGU, local government unit. How
Well,
they
you-
handle things covers a lot of things.
Right. And they know a lot of these bar
Hold on.
girls are definitely
Right.
12,
And also
13, and
here's the
14.
thing.
Even the mayor
Like
knows
Alex
it.
Bumban said, I'm with Heidi 100%. You'll
Unless
end
they
up in a
can,
ditch.
where I draw the lines is the ones that can actually do
Well,
something
what I'm
about
saying
it.
is, if the parents don't know about it and they find out and they're against it, this is what's going to happen. You'll end up in a ditch. Fact. It's just the
Okay.
way things
There's a
are.
lot of things I would like to
If
actually
you report it to
and-
someone, if you see something and you report it, okay, and it goes nowhere, do you drop it at that, or do you find another place to report it to?
No, you would find more people to report it. Somebody can ignore a trickle, but they can't ignore a deluge. Big difference between the two. If there's a deluge of reports versus trickle of reports,
Yeah, Donnie
aka
said go to
our
another
friend that was over
agency.
here, it didn't just take us to report. It just take, I forgot who the one who she used to come in our room a lot. Godzilla.
I guess because I have had 3 daughters. Okay.
Right.
I've raised 3 daughters. And I always said if someone ever touched one of my daughters, they would never touch another child. Period. I had a backhoe and I know how to dig deep holes. No more said. And I guess that's probably why my view is as deep as it is on kids and so forth.
Right. And I have a daughter too. And we're not talking about that we're talking about a girl that's probably 16 or 17, according to this.
Oh, I know. But what I'm saying is, so when I look at, okay, if the law says 16, then it's 16. If the law says 18, then it's 18.
Yeah, but like again, it's 16 within 3-year difference, and that's the part that everybody omits.
No,
So if
that's
she's
not in
16,
Philippines. Philippines is 18.
No, okay, so there's a law that was signed by President Duterte that was upgraded from 12 to 16 in regards for age and consent.
correct.
There is the law that exists, but within that law that exists, within that the update when Duterte did that, right? The law part that a lot of people don't discuss because they didn't read the whole thing is that there has to be a 3-year age gap. Anything
Right.
more than 3 years of anybody under the age of 18 in a sexual content, that's where the thing that people need to understand. So
Right.
by far majority, people that are coming to the Philippines are over the age of 18.
Right.
So once you're over the age of 18, it doesn't matter anymore. It's 18 the minimum, no matter what. And so, but to add what George was stating earlier on today, and a couple people stating also, there is a provision under American law that states as an American citizen, if you decide to travel outside the United States, you can still get charged by the US.
Correct.
Okay, that if you deal with somebody under the age of 18, even let's say just if you go, let's say, I don't know, India, maybe its age of consent is 16, 14. We'll just use that. It doesn't matter.
'Cause
You
it
can be
applies. Yeah,
charged.
you mentioned that with
Yes.
this.
That's
And
under
don't get me
the
all twisted. We have daughters too. George has several daughters. So we have multiple daughters in our house. If somebody's being attacked outside the door and they've got a knife, yeah, I'm going to get involved. Okay. If there's a child that's being raped right out front here, same thing. I'm going to get involved. But when it came down to something like that, where everybody knew in that small province, I did advise the guy, just don't get involved. At that point,
Well,
with a
I'm different.
16,
I'm
17-year-old,
different
that's a
than
little different to advise somebody go around reporting and go to the police, confront the family. I was like, yeah, don't do that.
I
But-
guess I'm different than most, and let me tell you why. My first getting involved in helping out people was here in the state of Maine. We had a bunch of people from the southern countries, from Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Salvador, all those countries down there. They were coming up here working in these farms. Okay, they were being treated horrendously. Anybody who said anything was getting fired, or if they worked for another company, they'd get fired. Well, a few of us got together and formed a
In the
coalition
U.S.
and started going after this big
It's totally
farm.
different.
And everybody said it was crazy. We were going to end up disappearing. But we together went after this big farm,
Right, but that's
and
in
we
the
got them shut
U.S.
down. And that they were allowed for so long to get away with it that after a while they were just blatant. I mean, they would bring, one guy came in, had an accident, and they didn't even take him to the hospital, didn't give him any medical, and he ended up losing his foot. So I mean, that's, I guess, when I look at things, I look at it that way. It may be a
Yeah.
little thing right now, but it may be 16 or 17 right now. But
Mhm.
next year, the year after, maybe it's 14 or 15 or 13.
Oh,
or
well, you guys are going a little far with, what actually could or what somebody would actually do. And specifically, we're talking about that. And here in the Philippines,
Not the same.
living here long term.
Not
And
the
this
same.
person lives long term here. And
Yeah,
I
it-
don't feel
It
that's,
shouldn't. I'm sorry, it shouldn't matter. I risk my
Um,
life.
it
but I
actually
risk
It
my life
matters.
for
It
other
matters
people.
because the
It does.
culture and
And
the
that-
politics are different. It does matter
Yeah.
because that's nothing. Again, I'm not racial or anything like that,
we're
but
not like sitting there saying,
things.
okay,
I'm not here. If that were the case, then I shouldn't be here. Then let Heidi take over the show. Point being is, I'm here to give the Philippine side because it's not the same. Not
Yeah,
the same at all.
we're saying, it sounds like we're condoning that it's okay for any
Well, we
child
never
to be
said
with
that,
adult,
and we
but we're
said
not
again,
saying that. We're
can you
saying
report it?
this
Yes, but you
Nobody's
need
case,
saying
other
that.
people to get involved
right?
because
But
again, one
George,
report's not
no,
enough.
I don't believe nobody's saying that because none of us condone that.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
but
So that's where,
there's
I
a
mean, we
little
get the
bit there's a
laws
little
and
bit of common
everything.
sense you got to use. All right, and you want to say that, oh well, you're condoning this bull crap. Okay, it's about safety.
Yes,
It's
for
about
sure. In the
different
Middle East,
things.
I wouldn't
I
have
had
gotten
a friend
involved
of
in
mine
Oh,
that
anything
Middle
with
East
her,
is
even
completely
if she was
different too.
14.
See, that's another thing.
Knowing that the wives were really
If
young
if you
and the
take
cultures were accepted. I mean, believe me, there was a lot that
yeah,
I've
you
seen that
you
should have
can't take
changed.
your culture into
But
another country. Middle East is a perfect example.
yeah,
But
Middle
here,
East,
it's
yeah,
not as bad as the Middle
their
East.
daughters are
My
with.
great 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 grandmother was 13 years old when she gave birth. All right, that was the culture back then. It's not the
okay.
culture anymore.
But it is
Culture
culture in
changed.
some areas, some provinces, and some countries still.
I,
India, the
I
Middle East, and some areas here.
what's what you call progress, compared to from before. Progress, and also in regards for health situations as well, because people, through studies and stuff like that, if you give birth at an early age, such as 12, 13, or you're going to have higher complications as you get older anyways. So as progress actually exists, and then also, the thing goes, you had to start a family early on or back in the days, especially, is because also the timeline in regards for how long a person lives back in the days was way lower as well. So
Right.
it's like get it on, but it's like but that's the thing. But that's another thing also, right? It's like for the other people, they'll say, well, back in the days, like you hear this all the time. It's like back in the days, women were like this, so it should be allowed. So then they use their back in the days experience or back in the days what used to happen as why it's supposed to be okay to happen now. Just like what George is saying is that taking your culture from another country, then also bringing it in the Philippines and saying that you want to apply it there as well. There's going to be some application that's going to kind of work. But then also I want to bring up this other factors like, well, if you're in the province, it's going to be dangerous. Just to let you know, it's a lot dangerous in the city in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Like there's more stuff that people be unaliving and people disappearing in the city than in the province. In a smaller province, it's less likely that's going to happen just because that people know each other and people talk more and there's going to be more chismes.
Yes, actually, again, as Mike says, progress. And when I bring, I'm going to put up Alex Bamban's comment. When I say progress, it's not as bad as it used to be. But Alex Bamban says, Philippines goes by hood laws. If you have lived in the hood, or you lived in the Philippines for a few years, then you know life is a little different. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it is what it is. Now, it's not as bad as it was back then. I mean, back then, picot, as they say, shotgun wedding, even in the US.
I almost got picked up when I was
Correct.
19.
There is such a thing as shotgun wedding back then, and
I
nobody
gotta
can
go,
deny
guys.
this.
I gotta go. Somebody else is going live. They just sent me a text, asked me to go on. So
All right.
I'll talk to y'all later.
All right.
Again,
Take care.
report. You know, you just, I don't know, you just can't go any further with it, I guess. Take care, guys. See you later, Mike. Take care, Bruce.
Bye.
See you
George,
later, Big
take
Papa.
care.
But then
Love y'all.
oh, later, Big Papa. But then here's another narrative, right? Like to add to it. And this is more based on what happens in the U.S. and stuff like that. I'm not going to use the Philippines, but it happens all over the world with women. With women, we'll just say, right? What if they dress slutty? Do you report it? It's like,
Well,
right? That's what there's these fine lines that happen. Well, what if she's 16, but then she's dressing slutty, dressing short skirt, walking around
Everybody,
this and
will
that,
have
right?
where it actually
Like
comes from.
and this is the problem that starts existing, because then we do have the understanding, especially, and I see it in the Philippines, I see in the US and stuff like that, young girls are being allowed to acceptably wear certain things that by far general, like back in the days, would not be allowed. But like going back to the old school days, also in the Philippines back in the 80s, like there was these things called tambucho burning, where a lot of these guys who were either grapists or guys that get with young girls back in the days, like, do you know what they used to do to them? The cops used to do to them, George?
no.
They used to stick their wieners in the exhaust of jeepneys
Oh,
and let the jeepney run and rev up. That's why it's called the tambucho burn.
okay.
That's what cops used to do. That was the fix back in the days. Whether they salvage you or if it's just basic, then they'll do that to you. They'll put your wiener in the tailpipe of a jeepney, and those suckers are very smoky, and they burn your pee-pee.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was
actually, like Heidi says, they probably still do it that in somewhere else. Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's what they did back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to hear stories from PCs during when they guess what we did today.
No, I've never heard of that part in my area. In my area, you just disappear, never to be seen ever again.
Around that time, I was in Cavite, and that was where a lot of people disappeared back in the days. Cavite was the wild. For Cavite back in the days was the Wild West. Like majority of Cavite was Wild West back in the days. Where we're from, we're close to more Laguna, so it was not as bad. But Cavite was where
this is true. That was back then.
Yeah, Cavite was where top 10 wanted guys were hiding. That's where they were all at back in the days.
Cavite when it came a long way. I was
So let
actually
me
surprised.
ask you, NYK and George. So was it better back in the day? Do they need to bring it back in the day, or
No, I don't agree.
No, there's called progress.
Progress. Okay.
Around that time, I think it was acceptable. Around that time, that was because it was a lot harder to get justice, and the system and stuff like that was in place. So that's why what was the Sparrow unit? Like people didn't if people look into the Sparrow unit in the Philippines back in the days, that was the hit squad of the PCs back in the days. Like the Sparrow unit of the Philippines, these were, like, you can say, rogue cops. They were actually a different fraternity of cops, but they had a level of, they were the guys who off people that you couldn't off.
Yeah.
So you had the Sparrow unit, then you had what was the other one that got dismantled, that got disbanded as well? There's 2 units that was put in place in the Philippines back in the days. So I mean, it is what it is, but different time.
For those of you wondering why these don't exist anymore, think about it this way. The best way to explain it in a Western standard is, remember the witch hunters back then?
The what?
You know what stops somebody from saying she's a witch? The end. Done. You know what I'm saying? No different here in the Philippines. Oh, he's that. She's that. Done. Gone. No. Remember, there's no trial. There's no trial. If there's a trial, it's a joke. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's called progress,
Instant tailpipe.
because it doesn't mean that yes, they're getting rid of criminals, but you have to remember, are these criminals? You know what I'm saying? For those of you wondering, like, well, it sounds like a good idea. It does in a perfect world, but that's not how it works, because somebody can easily say, "Oh, George is this," and then I'm done. I'm gone, and I didn't do anything wrong.
Salem Witch.
I'm saying.
Oh, there you go. Alex Boncayo Brigade. Thank you, Salem. That's the other squad. So like,
Wow.
you have to know. You see if you
Yeah,
guys
that's way
pay
back. Sparrow,
and then
yeah, that's way
back in the
back.
days, that was going to be in the news like weekly, like Sparrow unit hit, Sparrow unit hit. Like these were things that were happening in the Philippines, during the martial law process, and even before the martial, and even after martial law was created, was taken down already. There's still a lot, and so that's where you can see progress in regards for laws being in place, or people are
Right,
actually
exactly.
are being prosecuted and stuff like that. And there's the unfortunate we'll say allegedly.
So Mike, then you would feel safe reporting that of a 16-year-old if it was an expat and a young girl, or a Filipino and a
Filipino or expat, yeah, sure. Because what's gonna it's gonna eat me. It's gonna eat my soul as a person. Like the thing though is like, all right, here's a question. Wouldn't you think, and just using, that was used earlier on today. I was like I'm saying is that, if it's a family member, if it's a relative, it's a good friend of yours, aren't you going to be more likely off if you reported that, because they know who you are truly? Like if your reason that you're scared to get off, to be unalive because you are reporting, then there's several things that you can do. You can go ahead and hire a lawyer to do the report for you. You can actually ask not to be actually put up there, like, to hold your information. There's a lot of things, a lot of ways that you can do. You can make a phone call, you can make an email, like do something. It's like, it's like we're told to say, see something, say something, and then all of a sudden it just goes out the door. And so, yeah, I'll report it. I have no problem doing that, because me as an individual, as a person, it's going to eat me alive if, like, I know that something's going on, and I'm just going to be quiet about it.
Yeah. With the 16, 17-year-old in the family involved, I don't think it's worth getting involved. So I'm going to stand by that part.
Yep.
And that's perfectly fine. But that's why I asked the question early on, Heidi. With respect, is that the family of the dude in Angela City knew that they were sending the girls there. For them not to know that, or even have some form of intuition as a parent that something was going wrong, right? I'm sure they have had that, but they unfortunately let that happen. And so sometimes, like, people who are not involved has to get involved in order for something to happen, right? That's the basic requirement for humanity as a person, right? And I get it. You're like, well, if the family knows, just let it be. Then let it be. But then at the same time when a person is able, and this is my opinion, when a person is able to say, I have to there's two separate things that I can do. I'm not going to report that, but I'm going to report that. Then that's going to make me as a person is going to become like a hypocrite to myself, because why do I get to pick and choose when I want to report, when I feel like it?
Correct.
I have no right to report anymore, even though if I see something happening at a 3-year-old, because I'm not willing to report a 16-year-old.
Right.
That's just my take on things. I go in, if I'm gonna get killed, I'm gonna get killed. I can get killed with somebody running me over with a bike or something. Anything can happen.
If it happens, it happens.
Yeah. Guess it. I said, let it be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And guys, just to let you guys know, again, be aware. Remember, like, again, like, man, that brings back memories. Mike talking about the Sparrow units, and you have who was it that mentioned the Bunkayo squad? Do they still exist? Yes. Okay. The last known title, I put quotes on it. Davao Death Squad operated up until 2009. Okay. And Do they still exist today? The answer is yes. They just don't give them names.
That was one. I forgot the name of the group, but the Davao
Death
Squad,
Squad.
the Davao
They-
Death Squad, they're
Correct.
actually now a unit within the Philippine Army.
Correct.
So there's original, I think 16 or 17 of them, except one died early. And so what happened was, you know, there was so much stuff happening that okay, you guys can't do this no more, because they had their names out when they killed someone, when something happened, it was actually in the news. And so they're like, we need to disband the unit, and they just actually created it into the Philippine Army. And within the Philippine Army, it's actually a fraternity. You have to get called up to be able to join the unit. Like, you can't even just get assigned. You have to be doctrinated into that unit.
Correct.
So it's like,
And
people need to understand how things works in the Philippines.
And then there's a good the time frame, guys. I'm just telling you how it is. Again, it's not what you think. Okay. Now, we talked about these units, right? They're unnamed units, and this is what they do. They have a squad, meaning 5 or 7. They send them out to do a job. After the job is done, or jobs or missions, as it were, that entire unit disappears. Just
Well, I
saying.
kind of figured that, George. I was just about to ask you if they would do a job and then disappear.
Yes,
So,
and
I
I don't
kinda had a
mean like,
feeling.
as in Tijuana or anything like that. And we're talking about, swimming with the fishes disappear. Yes.
Did you guys ever see any of these people?
Okay, no, because again, they're not normal people. However, back then when I was a kid, I've seen stuff. But anyway, different story entirely, and not. But bottom line, guys, again, they do exist, and the thing is about reporting something. Odds are nothing's gonna happen to you, but you know, just be careful on who you mess with, because sometimes he may look like a regular Filipino, but he could be actually the brother of some big mayor or
Like
something,
the
and then
areas
Mhm.
of where
That's
the
another thing.
NPA is. That could be another example.
Well, see,
Yeah.
the Sparrow unit is the NPA. The Sparrow unit is the kill squad for the NPA back in the days. That wasn't a police thing. That was the NPA kill. And it's not Sparrow as SPARRAW, it's SPARU. So yeah, that's what the thing with the NPA has their own kill squad. Then of course you have the Davao Death Squad. Then you have there's like so much stuff that was happening in the Philippines that existed. And and then don't forget the basic PC, salvage back in the days that just happens. Like I know a lot of guys that they'll literally be talking about who they did while they're drinking at the
They'll
late
do
in the
that
day.
now
Oh,
for
wow.
other reasons. Just regular people with bolos.
Yeah, they
NYK.
used to come by and go drinking, and next door from our house back in the days. My dad would send beers over.
Oh,
My
yeah,
dad
they'll
would
tell you
drink
the
with them
story.
back in the days. It's like that's what you did back in the days,
yeah.
and you had to, so that when they have those little roadblocks and stuff like that, they let you go through sometimes really fast. So it's like, it is what it is of what had to be done back in the days during the martial law era. And so you had to do what you had to do back in the days.
Stay in your own backyard for the most part.
Well, I mean, okay,
If it's your personal family or your daughter or something else, I can actually see it. But there's, it's kind of like being in other countries and getting involved, whether
Well,
it's Africa.
here's the
or-
thing. Again, how I'm Filipino, and honestly, anybody who's ever met me in real life, they'll tell you, "Oh, he's the most straight guy I've ever known." But here's the thing: here in the Philippines, when I see a roadblock, unless I really have to go through that roadblock, I stay away from it.
You turn around,
Turn around.
Yeah.
I'm
you
like,
drive around
do
the
I have to go?
roadblock.
Do I have to go? No. Okay. Another day.
Back in the days, that's where people disappeared. The
True story.
roadblock is where
True
people
story.
disappeared.
Roadblocks. And again, I've gone through roadblocks, and again, most of the time nothing happens. But what I'm saying is, if I have to,
Well, so do
have
the
to go,
cab drivers.
then I'll
They've
go through.
avoided too.
But if I don't, I turn around. True story.
Unless,
I even told
unless
Heidi,
you know them, right,
there's a
George?
roadblock. Yeah, I turn
and,
around.
and where you actually draw the line, because I just thought about the animal abuse, and there's all kinds of things you see here that just isn't right. And when like like you saying, Mike, and I'm not trying to bring that back around. I just thought about other situations you may not want to get involved in or to get involved in. You know, I've seen some strange stuff here in the city.
Yeah.
You could trust and,
the
believe.
best way to not get involved with these things is not to easily see it. And so, you know, so pretty much like I said, see something, say something. So the best thing to do, if this is something that you're like, I'm not gonna mess with this, then stay away from it. How do you stay from it? Then you have to be camouflage yourself among the people. Now, that's gonna be kind of difficult if you're a foreigner, but it's gonna be a lot easier if you live in bigger cities.
Hence why he puts me in the back seat, people, for multiple reasons.
I'm just saying,
So
like,
that's why. Okay, I understand.
stay away
now.
from the
Yeah,
stay
so
away
that's
from
where I'm trying to get, is not with just this guy. The specific thing, I believe, was a Filipino with a Filipino, and he's out in the province, and it's more out in certain areas. So I didn't want to say the area specifically.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, if that's your life out there and you got family and it looks to be consenting and all that, then there's times to get involved and not get involved. But it kind of carries around to other things, like I've seen here in the city, when to get involved, not to get involved situation.
Right.
So, but yes,
And if you're in the province, okay, like here's this is let's just I mean let's can discuss this a little bit. But when you're in the province and you stand out, and you're a foreigner, you're going to stand out in the province. It is what it is. It is the truth, right?
Yeah.
You want to stay away from trouble. And then most of these guys are not staying in really good areas. Most of these guys are not staying in, like, you know, real good security areas and stuff like that, because you know they're paying $150
this is kind of where this guy
their
is.
place,
Yes,
right?
Not a good area.
Her parents may not report you. Her cousins may not report you. Her neighbors may not report you. But if there was some canto drinking going on and you become the subject,
that's what I'm talking about.
Best believe some akyat bahay is about to happen, and you're gonna get what they call gapos, and then you're gonna get got. All you need is a couple hangouts, and guys and then you upset them. You said something. You did not even,
or you put a stepping up somebody's butt and pour gasoline in there and then set it on fire.
This is the thing. This is
razors. What is that, Mike?
What?
My imagination's going wild.
Yeah.
What did you just say that they do?
It's called mob justice, basically.
Oh, okay.
Well, akyat bahay is like pretty much climb your house and stuff like that. Gapos is they're gonna tie you up and stuff like that, and then
you know, siphon up the butt, pour some gasoline, light them up. Lechon Americano.
Guys, just so you know where akyat bahay comes from, if you live in a house and you don't have a ceiling, when you look out where your roof meets the wall, there's a gap.
That was like my house
They
in the Ozarks, man.
At the wall and climb through that gap, and that's why they call it akyat bahay, mean climbing the house.
Oh,
yeah, like that's why, you know, back, you know, like our place back in the days, we had like a 15-foot wall, you know, that had like the bubog, George, like, you know, the broken glass on the top and stuff like that. They put that.
Oh, they'll jump through that. That ain't nothing.
Yeah, all you need to do is put a blanket over that and jump over it and stuff. So it's like you know, just understand how things, and even with 15 those things, people can still jump up. People
No, that 15-foot, guys, I've seen it with my own two eyes. They'll jump that like it was nothing.
You see Filipinos climb a coconut tree really fast, and you think they can't climb something
they'll climb that wall like that.
I was like, and this is what I'm saying. Like, I always say, stay away from the suburb. I mean, stay away from the provinces. You know, and then if you're gonna live in the provinces, live in the good areas. But the thing though is, a lot of these guys want the $100, $150 home that people talk about, and that is, and of course, the $150 home is, you know, those kind of things, right? In the provinces and stuff like that, it's out in the open, you know, and it's like it's easy for people to see you. It's, you know, and people pick on you. I mean, in regards to, they see you, they notice you. Like these guys, it's funny, like a lot of these guys are saying, well, you know, it's so nice in the Philippines. Everyone's so nice. They see you, they talk to you. Like, that's dangerous. Like, you want to be not seen as much as possible. You want to blend in as much as possible.
That's what I do.
Like,
I just
you know,
blend in.
Like, but people don't want to blend in because people want to stand out. It's okay for you if a Filipina wants to approach you because you're exposed, but then you get mad when you get scammed by these other vendors and people around you. Well, you get both ways. You get the low value Filipinas notice you, and you get the low value people want to rob you.
No, it's
It
true.
is what
It's
it
true.
is.
And usually, like for instance, where that there's an expat who says that all of a sudden that this guy was inside their bedroom, he was crawling the floor. I'm like, yeah, she's involved.
That's the one. That's the one in Angeles City, though, right?
Right,
Yeah,
And he's
right.
like,
He
she's
said he
involved.
woke
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
yo, no, that was her boyfriend. That was
Yeah,
her freaking boyfriend. I'm
exactly.
sorry. I
Yeah.
remember that. I remember I was laughing. I was
Exactly.
like,
That was, yeah, it's the first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
because if that was a real
again,
Akad Bahay, he would have gone in your house, slit your throat, and then rob you. Like no one's
That's
gonna
all.
crawl in a house. I think he tried to say that maybe he's all into drugs. Well, then if a druggy person
Right.
who's gonna be freaking out, he will definitely slit your throat first and then rob you. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as they're gonna crawl around that
Yeah,
there's a
for
person
those
there.
that don't know, this was like a expat that said he was a vlogger. I don't know whatever happened to his channel. I don't remember, but this
It's
happened
dead.
about 2 years ago. And that's what he said. He said somebody crawled up into
Oh.
his house and then took his wallet or
Yeah,
something in
and
the night while he was
ex-military, he
sleeping.
just screamed like a baby.
Yeah.
For
Good
some
job,
reason,
man. Good job.
everything was dark, and this fool knew where to find a wallet, where to find the purse.
Exactly.
Come
And
on, you
knew it
got
was
set
in
up
the
by your
living room
Filipina.
allegedly.
Yeah. No, he was set up. It
I
was.
mean,
it
when
was
George goes to bed,
black
he
and
puts his
white. It was
wallet
a
right
setup.
next to the.
Yeah, that was a
that
setup. Oh my God, a Filipino in the ground.
So,
And
you
then he
guys, I
said he
don't
was
mean to
in.
change-
Didn't he say he was inside of a secure subdivision on top
Yeah,
of that? Because
but
he
see,
talked
Right.
about the security.
That's
Which
the thing.
again, that doesn't mean nothing. I mean,
It doesn't mean nothing if you're paying cheap for your security. Like,
Yeah.
come
No,
on.
it's true. It's true. A lot of people get the false sense when they're in a subdivision or even have a wall. They're going to go up and over that, man.
It's like I don't know. It's like
If they want you, they want you. I say,
So, like-
come and get it.
there you go.
And I'm gonna give you guys if you
Come and
guys
get
see
it.
if you see rich Filipinos and stuff like that, and then
I
the-
keep extra
this is-
razor
this is-
blades and lemons in the house.
this is how you detect a Filipino is rich. If there's another Filipino guy wearing a everyday barong shirt, and he's holding a little black purse. So if you see a Filipino guy wearing like a day-to-day barong, like following another person, and he has a black purse under his armpits or he's holding it, that's a bodyguard. In that
Yeah, I was
little
gonna say, yeah,
container,
that's-
in that little container is a 38 snub nose,
Yep.
more than likely. So I just there's just little things that you can pick up. You're like, oh, don't mess with that person, because just in case you see a Filipino that you like, and then you see somebody following him, you about to get shot.
Yep.
Like there's certain things that you need to know about the Philippines and how it kind of works out. Like, but people don't want,
So
but you're not going to find a lot of those in the province.
I wanted to
Right.
say something. I wanted to say something, Heidi, George, MYK. I just want to let you know that I appreciate, because I did learn a valuable lesson, and I'm not going to go back into that because I just want to move on. But I do want to say that I thank you guys, because I think it's put more focus now is to start actually listen. Like, I listen, I like to talk just like anybody, but I appreciate the things from everybody, good, bad, whatever it was, because we've got to learn. It doesn't matter how old we are. We all learn.
Mhm.
And the valuable lesson that I learned was that I made an awful choice by rushing into something, and I will not rush into anything ever again like that with anything. And when I go, I've got friends. If I ever meet somebody, cool. But if I don't, I just appreciate the honesty, because you know what, you guys could have blown smoke up my ass. Excuse my language,
Who
but
says I'm not?
well, I don't think you were. But if you are, if you were, then
I thought
then
I
guess
thought
I'm
you were
the
going to
biggest
say
fool
something
here
like
then, but-
you're a guest in somebody's country. Just be careful.
and I appreciate all the things that you guys have they said, but I think the most important thing that I learned is that I rushed into something that I should have never put myself into with somebody online, and that was the mistake, and I broke all the red flags. But again, I just want you guys to know that I do appreciate you, because it's put a lot of thinking into my thoughts now.
Makes you think, though, doesn't it?
Hey Bruce,
Yeah,
let me try. You have friends in the Philippines?
Yeah, I mean, like, so I've got like, I've known, different YouTubers for years, like Glenn Simpson, down south that I knew. Yeah, just different.
Are you
people
still
that have
friends?
been
Are you like still acquaintances with people from your ex?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't like her friends. No, I don't. I mean, they obviously don't. But there's other people that I've known for years.
So
There's,
whoever is around her circle that you met, they're not your friends no more.
Yeah, they don't like me. Yeah.
It's not that they don't like you. Their loyalty is not yours.
Oh, there you go.
I just want to let you know that. Then that's the reason why I ask about the friend stuff. If you have others, that's perfectly fine. But I mean, like if you met people, and by general in the Philippines, if a Filipina or a guy, whatever, the batchmate, whatever, okay, their batchmate's theirs, not yours. You'll never be able to get their loyalty fully to your side. So what I'm just trying to say is that, as a buyer, if you feel that those people are still part of your friend zone or within your friends, they're not. So don't waste your time on that. Once you cut ties with the girls, you cut ties with the barkada. That's the rule.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
The girls, yeah.
Their loyalty is not with you.
Yeah, loyalty. You're right. I don't. I'm specifically just talking about like friends that I know and stuff. The women that I've tried to date. No, I guys, and I just make now I know, I should say, now I know that it's, you got to cut ties, because you're right. There is no loyalty. If I couldn't get it right here, or even months and months ago, I would never get it.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of the bodyguards and stuff, somebody said earlier, actually it says, where is it now? Oh, here it is. Hector, he says, did you guys see Chavit Singh-son's vehicle when it's ticketed on the EDSA bus lanes? He looked like, no. Okay, now, guys, this is extreme. However, be aware, okay, first off, yes, this is
He's had it for a
definitely
while. Chavit has
this
it for a
is-
while. The tank? Yeah, see
yeah.
the tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's-
he's had it for a while.
that, but
That's
No, it
Chavit
is.
Singh-son, man.
It is. This is a confirmed armored vehicle, yes.
no, I got that. But what is he got a lot of enemies? Who is that?
Well, what I'm saying
He's the
is,
guy that you see next to Manny Pacquiao with the glasses all the time in the ring.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
so
like-
what I'm saying is, yeah, it may not be that extreme, but there are people who, again, drive somewhat like, if you look at their car and there's something off about it, like it looks armored, it probably is. And you probably don't want to
I
be
mean, it's not
involved.
like that for the
But
average.
Filipinos
person
are
that they-
poor, George.
Oh, that's
Filipinos
right.
are
That's why they drive
poor.
around in these electric vehicles that nobody's
Poor
seen in the U.S.
Filipinos. Filipinos
Yeah,
by
no,
average are
it still
poor.
blows my mind about the amount of rich and then the opposite
Right.
with poor. Like they just put a whole thing up about incomes again. Families of 5, total households at $20 a day, 12 to 1,400 pesos for several working people. But
See, it's
you
just the
know,
biggest
then you see a
lie.
lot of rich people here too. Like
It-
our
it's
whole
just-
neighborhood's full of new cars right now. We're like
it's
the last
it's
one in
the
this
biggest
neighborhood.
lie that America has put in place. They put the poor people by themselves that you don't normally see. You don't have to drive to their neighborhoods. It's just that in the Philippines, it's a small section. You get to see it right in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, look at Philadelphia with the bad areas in Philadelphia. Look at what's going on in Oregon and Portland,
Los
in
Angeles.
Oakland and San Francisco and the South Side of Chicago. The reason why people, you don't see it, then you don't pay attention to it. Like that's all that it is. In the Philippines, it's like you have no choice. They'd be like, "Oops, there you go. How you
Right, like
doing?"
Andy
Yeah.
said, crappiest car in the neighborhood.
And that's the big
hear
difference.
that.
It's just that you see it, and
No,
that and it can't get more real in the Philippines than in the U.S. Because in the U.S. they just been lying to people. It's
Right.
like,
'Cause yeah, I
I
saw
mean,
Georgia
I
make
mean,
jokes
look,
about being the welfare case here, so now people are calling me welfare
No,
Heidi.
no,
And I
it's
said,
it's true.
it's true. There's
It's
a
true.
I
lot of
mean,
people
yeah.
here with
Now,
money. So I mean,
al-
so
also another thing. Now, this car, this vehicle, I'm gonna tell you right now, in all
guys ain't
probabilities,
calling me nothing. I ain't
I'm
calling
just saying
myself.
this. I'm just saying this. This is not confirmed.
I love me some government
I'm
cheese,
just
man.
saying this. The guy who ticketed this car is probably selling fish balls now. Just saying.
Oh, it's fish balls.
I'm just, it's like, and it's like, it's just funny to me how like a lot of these guys are like, oh, Filipinos are poor. I'm like, shit, then feed them. It's only cost 363 cents a day to feed a whole Filipino family. I mean, I mean, it's like it's funny to me how people like just have been washed, have been brainwashed by their fellow Americans and foreigners. That's what happened. A lot of these foreigners have been brainwashed on what
Mhm.
the truth is, and until like it's like smacked in your face and stuff like that. It's like come on. I was like,
Yeah, no, it's a true
it's-
story. Like I
people are
said,
just,
somebody out there the other day called me welfare Heidi, and I said, "Ain't nothing I didn't call myself."
All right.
For a while, I said,
you know.
I got to be the
But anyways,
welfare
guys,
face
I
here,
gotta
and I'm
go.
proud of it.
I gotta
Oh,
answer this call.
thank you
Okay?
so much, Mike.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mike.
you.
We'll be wrapping
Yeah.
this up. Thanks.
Yeah, Andy says yes. Filipinos are so poor. I got the
So-
crappiest car in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, I'm not joking. You
I
drive
said,
around
told
here,
George, I was like,
you will be surrounded with a ton of cars, brand new.
George is like when we finally got that e-trike, it's like, dang, everybody's riding an e-trike. It's just like, what the heck is really going on? But it's true, and it's like, you know,
No,
it
it
is
no
what it
no
is. Nobody claimed to be banking here, but there are some people banking in this neighborhood.
no, and they have
But
big.
3 houses down, you'll see something, where we talk about that glass and the walls and
Oh no, they have razor wire and everything, cameras
Right.
everywhere.
So it's just they don't. I find that some of the neighborhoods are not even
Now,
segregated.
the
There's
interesting thing about that
they'll
house,
build a brand new house next to another
that
type
particular
house.
house, they
They're not
have
zoned.
in that house they have like 2
Right,
cars and
Andy.
stuff, but they did purchase an e-trike. Now the reason for that again is it's a pain to drive a car around in here in Angeles anyway.
Right.
It's a
So
pain.
you use the
I take the
e-trike
e-trike
or
all the
walk,
time because
or sometimes on the occasion
right,
a
because
grab.
when I have the car, I have to park like literally a street block away and then walk anyway.
Mhm.
And it's like
So we use both, and we're happy for both.
correct.
So.
Like for example, there's something called Nepo Mall. I'm sure some of you have seen it in different vloggers. Nepo Mall. Nepo Mall, you have to park a city block away and then walk. It's kind of like that's the point of a car, right? So you don't walk. But anyway,
No, yeah, it's true. It is true. The average family I'd probably say it's more like 60% actually will live under 7,000 US a year or less. There are
Oh.
some only making that 5, 6, 700 pesos. To give you an idea, like housekeepers, if they're actually lived in, some people are paying only under $300 for them to live there. It's crazy.
okay.
But there's it's strange.
To clarify and give some dignity to the foreigners, okay. When somebody in the Philippines says moped, they're talking about scooters. Not mopeds. Like 90% of foreigners with mopeds, foreigners with mopeds and Dumaguete.
Yeah, it's cheaper and
They ride
it's-
scooters for the most
No,
part.
we've been saying for a couple years that most of the guys coming here are on a modest budget, but yet they'll spill out that they're making a ton of money and all the hype of it, and really they're just average people. Like like we said, we're on a budget, we're on a certain income, not a lot of extras. We just live in your everyday life. So, but
Right.
most of them are living on the same thing. So
And again, in all fairness, yeah, guys have to realize that gas is just as expensive as electricity. I'm saying
yes,
right.
gas is
Gas
US
is
prices
premium,
here.
yes. And
Insurance is dog cheap here.
the reason why I brought up gas is because a lot of people drive mopeds or scooters or motorcycles. Some do drive real motorcycles.
And
It's
motorcycles
because
are easier.
they're gas, they're gas friendly. You know what I'm saying?
Like right now, if we take the trike out several times a month to keep it charged all the
Oh,
time,
it doesn't.
$5 a month.
If that we don't
Mhm.
see a fluctuation in the
Yeah, so it's
electric
a
bill.
couple dollars. Yeah, so it's
Right, and I drive it around everywhere. So yeah, yes, that's yes, exactly. No parking for cars, and that's what like I have to like the other time I had to pick up dog food and I have to park a street over just to have buy dog
George
food.
warned me about
Yeah.
that in the cities, how that would actually
And
be.
when I have a
It's
haircut,
true.
I have to drive a street block away and then walk a street block just to have a haircut because there's no parking in front of the. There's parking, but you can't park there because one, it's either reserved or taken. You know, it's one of those two.
Yeah, he says I look for a retirement country based on an average middle class salary. Well, that here in the Philippines at middle class would be under probably what 1,000 US right now. That would put you. So I'd have to look at that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I haven't looked at it in a while. We've covered this because we don't only cover the topics you guys been seeing here lately. We're covering different things. Like George said, we cover our personal life. We have expat help videos. We have playlists. We do comedy. We've had our animals. We just do us and do the channel. But I want to say right now we averagely spend between 1,500 to 2,000. That includes feeding a lot of animals outside, inside, medical bills, pet bills, medications, a couple hundred on food. And that's not eating out all the time. That's not steak all the time. That's not like full 3 meals a day type of eating. So it's just some basics. And at 15 to 2,000 a month, that puts in the Philippines, according to the income in pesos, it's somewhere around middle upper class. It's not upper. There's like two more levels above the income of spending that. But in the United States, it would take what 100,000. I mean, I'm just guessing off the top of my head. So there's a big difference. Sure, people have said, you guys are just there because you can't afford to live in the U.S. Honestly, nobody wants, it'd be like George working 12 to 14 hours a day, which was where we were at. And I was already on Social Security disability already. Yeah, it's really expensive to live
It
in the
is.
US. And now since we've left and we've been gone for a couple years, things have really went up. So we just decided to move. It wasn't really a cost factor at the time. We had a decent income going on when we were living in the US, but we decided to sell everything and move. It was an opportunity, and like I said, taking life by the balls situation. And so we got to spend time in beautiful Mexico, and here we are on this. And
Oh dang, this is true. Hector Gubat says if you've never seen a Bugatti Veyron in a street setting, go to BGC.
yeah,
Yes,
there's
there's like a dime
plenty
a dozen
here.
there. They're
Yeah.
everywhere. Big Dave again. Unfortunately, how much did electric track go for? I say unfortunately because there's a movement right now that they're trying to get e-trikes off
The
the
main
road, main
roads,
roads.
which is not a good move right now. So, starting, I believe it's here in a couple days, they're making a move that e-trikes, pedal bikes, and I heard it was even the trikes themselves. Now, they've been leaving that trike part of it off, but a few of the articles when it first started, I think they made a mistake in putting that. But the ones that have been buying all those e-bikes and trikes and the one like we have, they're not allowed on main roads anymore. And people have been using that for businesses and travel to work and everything else. So now they don't even have the bike lanes ready, and they're going to start taking them from them. And a 2,000 peso fine. That's some people. That's a week's, at a couple hundred
Right.
pesos a day. That's a lot
But
of money
if you
for them.
buy a street legal e-trike and have it registered and have a license, you're fine.
Oh, I don't think so. It doesn't matter if they do or not. They
Well-
still don't want them on there.
Well, it depends on the area.
No, it just means that basically they're wanting them to register them
They want them
and
registered
do all
and
that, and they
yeah,
got to
they
have
have
a
to be legal.
license. But it doesn't mean
No,
they're
not
gonna let them
no,
back
no, no,
on
no,
the
no.
streets.
Yeah.
It just means you can run them through some neighborhoods and different things. But there are other streets they're allowed on, but that's when they're going to
Not
need
on
the
highways.
license.
They
So,
should never be on highways anyway.
well, these aren't the highways, babe. They're listing main roads they're not allowed to be on either. So if they want to do anywhere else, but there's like a list of 20 or 30 places they're not allowed to be. And that's kind of like hitting MacArthur is what it's like for the rest of Manila. I know they started something in San Fernando, and eventually we've been contacted by our e-bike people several times saying, we'll let you know when you need to register. So evidently it's coming eventually. So how much does it cost? It was 3,000, 4,000 US for the one we have.
Oh yeah,
3,000.
about the average.
Yeah, so a couple
Yeah.
thousand US to buy those. And then of course you have the bigger ones that can be bought.
Yeah, Travel Trends TV. So unfortunately, I disagree with you. Travel Trends TV says I've never seen a Bugatti in Makati. Stop it. No, they do exist, and there's a lot of them now. However, you know how we know they exist because they've been on the news on a regular basis. You know why they're on the news on a regular basis? Because they don't pay taxes on them, and
Yeah.
because they don't pay taxes on them, they basically the government comes over and takes your car away because they didn't pay the import tax. So do they exist? Yes, a lot of them, and on a regular basis, they're on the news that they confiscated another Bugatti very young. So do they exist? Yes. Are some of them legal? As in, do they
I
pay
mean, there's
import
not going to be a
taxes?
ton of them, but right here in 2024, in an actual news article, it says right here they do exist,
No,
and
they're
they're a very
everywhere.
hefty price. And
Yeah.
it says, but it is only a few people that own these cars. But yeah, I mean, there was like a vlogger here recently that literally just went up and down the street and was talking to people in these type of cars. So
No. So see, that's when you okay. Even people in this room will be like, "There's only 2 Bugatti vehicles in the Philippines." That alone, dude. Seriously, cap, big cap. I'm sorry to call you out, but this is cap, big cap. Because the fact that you're saying there's only 2 Bugatti in the Philippines, dude, that's really pushing boundaries of reality. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something called statistics. There's guy, I'm not even gonna at this point, Travel Trends. I don't even know if you're the real Travel Trends, but I'm questioning it now. But anyway, no, not everywhere, but
I mean,
there's
you just
more than 2.
right.
That's cap. Anyhow, yeah, exactly. Even Salem. Now Salem again. Even says Salem even says, "Where'd you get that data? Only 2 Bugattis in the Philippines."
And even if you don't see it in the news, there's actual vloggers showing these type of vehicles. So I've read it in the news, and I've only seen it where vloggers are walking up down the street. So no, it definitely exists.
Right. And if there's online that says that, that's questionable too. Either way, thank you so much, guys.
All
I
right, guys,
appreciate you
we're
so
gonna
much.
wrap this up, and we will be back on Saturday, Philippine time in the morning, or Friday evening for you guys, and just look for other videos. We appreciate everybody, and happy National Pet Day,
Yeah,
which
happy
is
National
coming for
Pet Day.
those
Thank
in
you
the
so much,
US
Ted,
coming.
for the National Pet Day.
Thank you for our people on the
Thank
panel
you,
that have
Captain
come
Day
in.
Jack. Thank you, Travel Trends. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, wait a minute. That's Travel Trends.
Yeah, unless he changed his thing midway.
Yeah, Travel Trends. Did you change your
Yeah,
icon?
we see where we were given a sticker in the beginning. It's not the same
Yeah,
icon.
that's why I said I'm not sure if that's real Travel Trends.
So
I did question it. Yes.
but thank you for Sarah, Scott, Ted, our moderators in the house. We appreciate everybody coming in, and we will see you guys for a wrap up and have a full discussion about what's been going on here. So we appreciate everybody, and thank you guys. Take care. God bless.
Thanks so much, guys. Thank you. Bye.